morning.
You know what? It is a good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome in. How do you do? Happy Monday to you. I hope you had a lovely weekend. I hope all that your hopes and wishes and dreams came true. I really do. Did I do something wrong already? Great one. I got the look of concern.
Oh no, I'm still trying to adjust to this microphone, and so are you.
I like it. Let's the stream see my beautiful shining face every morning, unimpeded by the restrictions of metal. That
we could also get you one of these, and then you wouldn't be stuck with that, and you can move that wherever you want.
I don't mind. I got you got to have the ring light because it brings out my stellar complexion. I have a skincare routine now. Did you know that? Have I told you that? I have a skincare routine now.
Okay, it makes you look pale. But if that's what you want, I mean,
that's just from me being pale.
No,
what makes me look pale is the being pale.
No, that makes you look vampiric. But I don't
know if I'm supposed to tell this or not, but the fiance was in a wedding on Saturday, so Friday she got her first spray tan, and it's kind of infuriating how good it made her look. I was like, oh man, do I have to do this now? I don't want to do this. But she looked great.
Come on, Ms. You want to.
I know. I kind of want to try it. Is that weird? Is that bad? Then I saw her and I'm like, damn, you kind of look great. I mean, you already look great. She got all dolled up. I'm like, you look great, but you look great,
I've done the liquid tan before, the kind that you.
Like the bronzer?
Yeah, I've done that before. But I put too much around my ankles, or it ran down, so my ankles it was weird. But yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a show lined up for you today because this weekend was a dramatic in the world of sports. NBA East and Western Conference semifinals came to their conclusion last night, and who'd have thunk it, but the Denver Nuggets weren't built to go 7 games. And the thing is, they haven't had to. And that's why I think all of me got caught by surprise, and I probably shouldn't have.
No, you shouldn't have, because they allowed the Lakers to come back on them.
Well,
they allowed a team to come back on them that actually has really good defense.
Wait. What do you mean they let the Lakers come back on them?
They let the Lakers come back on them.
They won 4-1.
But the Lakers came back from being down 20 almost every single game and being
the Lakers
competitive.
were up every game in 20. The Nuggets came back against the Lakers from down 20 in every game. I won so much money because the Lakers the Lakers had a halftime lead in all 5 games.
Maybe I should go back to bed and start Monday.
It's a little early. You want to play a bumper again? We can start the whole show over.
I'm not going to do that.
You sure?
No,
I don't mind.
I'm not. That's too much effort.
The Nuggets are not a team, but they are built to win in 5 at maximum.
By the way, you're right. And even though I watched the games this weekend, I'm not going to talk about them because obviously I can't speak today.
The Nuggets, and I should have seen this. I should have seen this coming after the game the other day where the Nuggets got blown out, and they had 9 bench points. I'm gonna be real with you. I was mad at myself last night. I was mad at myself because I coulda, shoulda, woulda called this. Because I should have looked back at Game 6. I should have looked at the blowout. And I chalked up the blowout to it's a team in Minnesota that is up against the wall. They are up against elimination. And they are at home. Of course, they're going to go out there and do the damn thing. Of course, they're going to go out there and win that game. And I was lazy. All right? Rashad Beard, you got me on this one, pal. I was lazy because I looked at that game as, they were at the house facing elimination. Of course, they were going to give it everything they got. Of course, why wouldn't they? Why would they do anything else other than give it everything they got? But what I should have looked at was 9 points off the bench. What I should have looked at was Nikola Jokic playing 47 minutes in that game and gone, that's a problem. That's a problem. Because if that team is getting 40 off the bench, like most NBA teams should be doing in the playoffs, then they're in that game. I mean, I'm not saying they win it, but they're in that game. But they got 9 points off the bench, and they needed Nikola Jokic to play 47 of 48 minutes. And so here we go to last night. We get to where we were last night, and I should have looked and said, as good as Nikola Jokic is, and he is very good, and when he's motivated, he's on. And this is something I think we need to have a conversation about Nikola Jokic over. Because there were spots in that game last night where it didn't look like Jokic was really going to the wall for this team. He looked, and maybe it's because he was exhausted. Maybe it's because he had played 47 out of 48 minutes for like 3 straight games. Maybe he was just absolutely gassed. But last night he didn't look himself late in that game. It got to the point where it looked like Jokic was just tossing up desperation threes to try to keep it close. He couldn't get to the basket. He couldn't play through a chest. He couldn't do anything. It looked like he was just trying to stay alive. And so if I go back and I looked at what game 6 was, and I saw 9 points off the bench and 47 minutes out of Jokic and 45 minutes out of Murray and 43 minutes out of Porter, I should have gone back and looked at that game and said, the Timberwolves win this because they're deeper. They're deeper. They're getting more off of the bench. They're able to get their guys rest. And then you take all of that and you add on to it that Karl Anthony Towns finally showed up the way that he is supposed to do. Big Cat had been on the side of a milk carton for a number of games in this series. And again, a lot of it has to do with being neutralized by Nikola Jokic. Rudy Gobert is not an offensive basketball player. He's just not. Like occasionally he's going to have a 17-point game, but that's about the extent of it. Cat is the guy that is supposed to be the offensive threat as the 4. But because Rudy Gobert is not an offensive threat, Jokic was able to spend as much time focusing, concentrating on Big Cat as he is on Gobert. Because if Rudy Gobert gets the ball in the paint, you just snap the defense to him and he's not a threat. But if Cat gets the ball in his hands down there and you are not already defending him, he's going to score. So Cat had been largely neutralized throughout this series, and then yesterday he showed back up. He showed back up as a distribution point. He showed back up as a scoring threat. He showed back up as a defender. He had, 2-3 blocks on Jokic himself? It was an all-around effort out of the T-Wolves. And like I said, it's one of those things. Hindsight is 2020, I believe, is the old expression. And that expression has been coined for exactly this. Exactly this. It has been coined for the situations where once they happen, you look in the mirror and you go, can't believe I missed it. And this is one of those times. I can't believe I missed it. Now, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the Nuggets have not been pushed like this basically in the last 2 postseasons. Even going back to last year's run. They have not been pushed like this in a very long time. And so I think we all kind of, much like I had been saying all season long, we all kind of got lulled to sleep. We all kind of got a little comfortable with the Nuggets. This is what I said in the last series, the series before that. Hell, when they were down 2-0 in this series. And I said, listen, you can't fall asleep on this team. That's what they want you to do. They want you to fall asleep so they can beat you in the most boring way possible. And then all of a sudden they reel off 3 in a row. They take a 3-2 series lead. So there it is. The problem is, again, in retrospect, because should have seen this when it was happening. I know ball, but I just blew this one. Call a spade on it. The game 4 and 5 wins, the team started to slow down a little bit. And again, I thought, okay, maybe they're saving it up. Maybe they recognize going into game 6, going into Minnesota is going to be tough, so they want to make sure there's gas in the tank if they got to go to a game 7. And then it dawned on me about halfway through last night. And by the way, the Timberwolves were down 20 points in this game. Let's not pretend that the Nuggets just laid down and made it a cakewalk. They did not. The Timberwolves trailed by 20 points in this game. And when they started the pushback, I went and I looked at it, especially at the end of the game. The reason I thought this game was toast around halftime was because Ant-Man was having a not great night, if we can be honest. He was not super effective with the basketball. And I thought, they're in trouble. If they can't get Anthony Edwards going, they're in trouble. And then the third quarter rolls around, and it's kind of the same thing. Anthony Edwards is just like, okay. So I was getting the graphics ready, man. I was getting the Denver v. Dallas graphics ready to go for today. And then you look up, and all of a sudden, now Ant-Man's in the game. And he's playing less of a, I got to score every time down the basket, and more of a, I got to pull other guys away from the basket so that Jaden McDaniels can go score, which he did. So that Mike Conley can go score, which he did. He had to change the way that this game was operating around him, and he went from a guy that for 3 quarters was ineffective, a guy who for 3 quarters was just kind of there, to a guy that in the final 10 minutes of this game, when the lead went from 20 to 16 to 12 to 7 to 5 to 3 to non-existent, Ant-Man became a very effective player. He became a very efficient player. He became a player that you could funnel the ball through. Not to, through. And I thought that was a big turning point in that game. There's a lot of players who may have had a night like Anthony Edwards was having last night and then just kind of faded back, said, all right, I'm off tonight. I got to let my teammates do the heavy lifting here. I'm off tonight. I got to let my guys carry me. I'm off tonight. I'm not getting it done. So I got to make sure that these guys are the focus, not me. And instead, Anthony Edwards said, no. I'm going to get my rebounds. I'm going to get my assist. Not shooting the ball well. 6 of 24, 2 of 10 from length. I'm not shooting the ball well. So instead of being a scorer, what I'm going to be is a facilitator and a decoy, a distraction. I'm going to bring guys to me. And I'm going to let the rest of these guys, Jaden McDaniels, Mike Conley, hell, even Rudy Gobert, 13 points last night. I'm going to let those guys become the focus, and I'm going to be the distraction and the facilitator, and it was perfect. It was the perfect game plan against Denver, because when we got back into the back 10 minutes or so, 8 minutes of this game, you had that happen, which meant the rest of the Timberwolf offense was unlocked, which means all 5 guys around the floor for Denver had to be active and involved in the offense. Because even if Anthony Edwards isn't scoring, whoever drew the assignment to defend that guy, whether it was Gordon or Caldwell Pope or whoever drew the assignment to defend Anthony Edwards they had to be everywhere. They had to be doing everything everywhere. And they could not take a break. So you ended up with Jokic having to defend everywhere from the block to the free throw line to the extended. You had Gordon who had to be running back and forth and back and forth. They were setting picks. They were setting screens. They were moving left, right. They had guys running, and they looked and said, all right, if this team is going to have effectively two guys off the bench, Naz Reid they're going to have two guys off the bench. They're going to have Braun come in and play 20 minutes. They had Drew Holiday who played 9 minutes. By the way, Denver, you got one of the best defenders out, or Justin Holiday, not Drew. You have one of the best defenders on that squad out there in Justin Holiday, and my man's getting 9 minutes. I mean, he's not Drew, but he's a Holiday, and they are known for slapping the floor and playing defense. You're going to have that guy play 9 minutes. That's what we did here. And by the way, if you're worried about the defensive stat, Justin Holiday is the only player on this team in the plus minus with a plus 10 rating at the end of the night. What are we doing here? What are we doing? You asked 47 minutes out of Nikola Jokic, 43 out of Murray, 40 out of Caldwell Pope, 42 out of Gordon. They were dog tired, and they did not have the gas to take it to the final minute.
All right, so the lasting image for me was Jokic going up for an offensive rebound and three guys on him and just taking it away from him. And that pretty much summarized the game, especially the last 5 minutes of the game where they just stepped up and were swarming them, and Denver looked tired. They looked really, really tired, and that's what happened. They got tired. They got beat. They got out-rebounded. They got out-defensed, and we're going to have a new champion this year.
Here we are.
Which is not, it's not a horrible thing.
No repeat for the Nuggets this year. So I think it was an expertly played series out of the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think when it got down to it, Denver has not been challenged to go 7, and it was very simply they ran out of gas, to the point that the announcers are talking at the end of this game. They are commenting on Nikola Jokic being out of gas. They're like, you can look down there at the free throw line. Jokic, he never looks like he's running, right? He just kind of saunters down. But they're like, even for his usual pace, he's slow to get back. And as soon as he gets down there, it's hands on thighs, bent over, sucking air. And when the ball comes down the floor, he's not setting up his defensive presence before they get there. He is waiting till they get there to maximize the rest period. It was just real bad. The Pacers win. The Mavericks moving on. Luka. I'm never doubting Luka Doncic again. Dallas winning the damn NBA championship. I'm never doubting Luka again.
Kyrie. I told you he was going to have a
you did. Game. You called the Game 6 arrival of Kyrie, and 22 points later, Dallas is moving on. We'll talk more about it as the show rolls on. Rob Lonzo and you, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate.
Sunshine today with a high on 82. Clear skies overnight with a low around 61. Sunny and 85 in a Tuesday, and clear skies in 62 Tuesday night. Then sunny and 85 on a Wednesday, then cloudy and 65 for Wednesday night. Mostly sunny throughout Thursday with a high of 88. I'm meteorologist Sarah Foster on the Fan Upstate. Currently it's 63 degrees.
Are you frustrated because you've been exercising and eating healthy, but you still can't lose weight? Hi, this is Dr. Elliot Hirschhorn with New Life Weight Loss, and we know the secret to losing weight and getting healthy the natural way without drugs or surgery.
You know what I realized last night as I was going to bed? It took me about 6 minutes to remember who Boston beat. That's how long ago they won that series. I was like, who did they play?
To learn more about our program, go to mynewlifeweightloss.com to schedule your free consultation. Our expert team will discuss your health goals, help determine the root cause of your weight issues, and put you on a path to success. Call 864-719-2550. That's 864-719-2550 or mynewlifeweightloss.com. That's mynewlifeweightloss.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Bourbon and Brews is heading south for the summer. We're now introducing Twin Peaks Tequila and Cervezas. It's a fiesta every Friday with samples of our favorite tequilas and cervezas all summer long. We'll be featuring fiery red lingerie parties too.
Greenville Jazz returns to Main Street, June 7th through 8th, celebrating music, community, and culture. Enjoy the toe-tapping tones of Preservation Hall Jazz Band, Butcher Rap, and several original and local jazz musicians. For more information, visit Greenville Jazz.
You trying to figure out the voice or the
No,
thing?
I'm not. Preservation Hall Jazz Band is one of the greatest jazz bands on planet Earth. They play around downtown New Orleans, and if they are here, I do not know what it costs. I don't care what it costs. I will be there. They are one of the great. Even if you don't like jazz, the musicianship of that group is perfect. Preservation Hall on Bourbon Street is one of the oldest untouched bars in that city. It is the same as it was in the 1920s, and they play the same music in there. And Preservation Jazz Hall is the house band of that bar, and they are beyond incredible.
Seeing the pickle thing showing back up. 2 weeks ago, we tried pickles and Dr. Pepper.
Pickles in Dr. Pepper?
Yeah.
Like dipped or like you?
No, you put pickle chips in Dr. Pepper because a lot of people are doing it on the internet.
And?
Not bad.
Really?
Yes.
I hate it already.
Yeah, it was. I expected something else, and I was like, well, that's okay.
Huh. You like take them with a fork, like they get soggy?
No, well,
or just like, you mean like pickle slices?
You take pickle chips out and just put them in.
You said chips, and my head went to like potato chips. But you mean like sliced pickle?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you'd have on a burger.
Yeah.
Got it.
Turn it on and leave it on.
Afternoons 3 to 7 on the Fan Upstate.
So I am going to get this out of the way now because I fully suspect it is something that half of you are going to understand, and it is something that half of you are going to want to openly mock for it. And I want you to know that for those of you that are on my side in this, I got you. And for those of you who want to mock me for this, I could not care less. On Friday, I received a text from a dear friend of mine that said, Rob, have you watched the trailer for the EA Sports College Football 25 yet? And I said, no, I have not.
Should I get tissue for you? I mean, is that where you're going?
You hold your horses, sir. You hold your dadgum horses for a second. So I said, no, I have not seen the trailer, dear friend of mine. Give me just a moment. And I went to the EA Sports Twitter site, and there it is in all its glory with the big white play button right on top. So I took everything that I was doing in the kitchen at the Casa de Love, and I put it all to the side, and I walked to the living room, and we've got in the living room a couch, and then we've got what I refer to as the thinking chair. It's the chair in your house where you fall back into it, you lean, and it's just like it embraces you. That's the thinking chair, because when there's something we got to figure out, you just go sit in that chair for a little while.
Does this have to do with the sculpture of the thinker?
No, it's
Okay.
just like,
Because he's like in that and he's doing that. Yeah.
oh, I know the thinker. No, it's the thinking chair because sometimes, just every now and then goes wrong and you got to think about how to figure it out and get it right. Sometimes stuff is not good, and that's the chair I go sit in to put it together. But in this case, I said, let me go get as comfortable as I can in this house. Comfortable as I can because I'm dialed in on this. So I sat down in the thinking chair, in the comfy chair, and I leaned back and I put the trailer on the phone, and then I casted it up to the TV because I'm not watching that on the small screen. I casted it up to the big screen, and I pushed play. And I sat back, and I started watching the Clemson Tigers digitally rub Howard's Rock. And I started watching the Florida Gators digitally rub the Gator head in the locker room. And then I watched the Notre Dame Fighting Irish slap digitally the Play Like a Champion Today sign. And then I watched the LSU Tigers digitally slap the big win goalpost on the way out of the locker room. And then dig it. Welcome to the Jungle starts ripping. And yes, I will acknowledge that Welcome to the Jungle, Lonzo, probably the most overused song when it comes to sports hype, right? Everybody who's ever dropped a hype video has used as the opener. And that's fine. It's made for that. It's made for arena rock. That's what it's there for. And so then you start getting the clips and you start getting the photos. And then there's Quinn over here and there's Travis over here. And these guys are suited up. And then it kind of transitions to more of the video game clips. And then about 30 seconds.
Wait. Who's Quinn and who's Travis?
Quinn Ewers, Travis Hunter from Texas and Colorado.
Oh, okay. All right.
Players that have been playing.
Wait. So you saw them, the video game version of them and knew it was them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because their name's on the back because they got paid money to use their name, image, and likeness in the game.
Okay.
$600 to be specific.
All right.
So the band starts playing 30 seconds in. And I'm like, that's a weird. And then Slash fades out. And a college football marching band fades up. And they take over Welcome to the Jungle, but as a marching band. And while they're doing this, they're showing clips of the game, and it's the Tiger over here, and it's Mike over there, and it's Aubie over there, and it's Albert over there. And it's the little schools. They're giving love to Montana in the game. And it's just clip after clip after clip. And I sat in the chair and I took a picture of it. Because as this trailer played, I just ended up with goosebumps. Literal, legitimate goosebumps on my. I was like The Rock, just pointing at the forearm. Like, look at that. I'm like sending pictures to the boys. I got goosebumps, fellas. Right here. Here they are. I got goosebumps from watching this trailer. And then, as I introduced that into my fraternity bro group chat, where all the fellas get together, a group chat that if it was ever leaked to the public, I'd probably go to jail. Because it's just the boys.
Probably shouldn't have said that on the air, but okay.
It's a bit facetious.
Listen, nothing illegal happening there. Just some bad language.
Just some jokes I wouldn't make in front of my mother or your mother or anybody else's mother. All right? It is what some people used to refer to as locker room talk. Okay? So I'm texting the boys. I text them the trailer. And then a minute and a half later, the responses start coming in. And it's just every dude that I know turning into a big-ass kid. Every one of us turning back into a kid. Because we grew up on the video games. And if you're a little closer to my age, you didn't just grow up on the video games. But when we were hitting our stride, NCAA football from EA Sports, it's in the game, was a staple. It was what you did with the fellas. You went over, you played dynasty mode, you went and you became the head coach of Browning State University. I don't even know if that's real. But you became the head coach of that school and you lifted them up through the ranks and you became a dynasty in the land of college football. And that's what you did. And you bragged about it. You bragged about it to your friends. You clipped screenshots. You pulled out your Motorola Razr and you texted your fellas about it. Or you pulled out your iPhone 1 and you took a picture on the potato that thing used to be. And you texted it to the boys, or you logged on to your Facebook when you had to have a .edu address to be allowed on it, or you popped onto the MySpace and you dumped the trash talk in your top 8. This game was such a big part of the sports fan loving culture for damn ever that when that trailer dropped, I can say that I had literal, legitimate goosebumps running down my arms. And I can also tell you, Zoe, and I don't even care because I wasn't the only one. I messed it up just a little bit. Just a little bit. There wasn't no tears fell, all right? Like Ray Yang. None. There wasn't a cry. But it was a little bit of it ended. And I took the remote and I turned the TV off and I took the phone and I set it on the armrest of the chair, and then I just kind of sunk back. I just kind of sunk back into the chair, and I thought to myself, we've made it. We've made it. This country is about to go to new heights because college football is back. And I'm going to make a prediction right now, great one. I'm going to make a prediction about this game. When this game drops, when this game hits the market, and it's available for all of us to go get. And I'm going to tell you off the top of my head, I don't even know what the release date is. It's in July. The prediction I'm going to make is this. The next day is going to be the least productive business day on the calendar in this country. That's my prediction. You know how they have those nerds and they track productivity levels around America. You know what we call them? Narcs. Maybe stop telling the boss when we're not working. Maybe just let us have a day without reporting to the overlords that sometimes we just want to check out for a minute and play some damn video games. Dorks, stop. But, there's those guys and they follow the stock market and they look at all this stuff and they figure out what days these are the dudes that every year when the NCAA basketball tournament rolls around, and we're all on those first couple of days. And then they come out the next day and they go, America lost $232 billion worth of productivity yesterday. Maybe shut up, nerd. Maybe stop being a narc. Those dudes are going to, the day after that video game drops, they are going to look at the stock market and they're going to go, what is happening today? What is going on? Is there a second basketball tournament we didn't know about? Because the day after that game releases is going to be one of the least productive days in American business for the year 2024. Because every dude that I know, when that trailer dropped on, what was it, Friday? Every dude that I know had that moment of, we are so back, baby. America is about to be great again because we got College Football 25 back on the Xbox. I looked at the fiance. I've been talking for a while. I'm like, hey, at some point I got to get a new console, right? I'm on the Xbox One still, and we're getting to the point. Zoe can attest to this. He hosts the Upstate Pulse, the best nerd pop culture show in America, every single Saturday night on our brother station, WORD. Big video game guy. They're getting to the point that all the new games are coming out are pretty much you have to have the new console or you can get a half-ass version for the old one.
This game will not be available on Xbox One.
Correct. So I have to get a new console, but I'm also getting married in September, and turns out I didn't know this. Weddings are expensive, dog. So I'm going to save it up a little bit, and I got to the point I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to hold off. I'll get married. And then maybe I'll get the Xbox, the console is my congrats to getting married finally, Rob. You finally did it. Here's your console. Congratulations. And then I saw that. I saw this game's not going to be on Xbox One. And I thought to myself, well, Handful of people don't get to eat at my reception because daddy needs the console because college football is back, son. Dynasty mode. Engage. I can't wait. I can't wait. I cannot wait. It's going to be the greatest day of the year. Don't call me. Don't text me. From July 19th till like August. The Rob Brown Show's back after this. We'll talk basketball on the flip side. It is the Fan Upstate. Joey said July 19th is the release date. Already took the whole week off.
Didn't want to poo-poo it on the air, but here's the thing. The same people, a lot of the same people are very excited about this game. Will be complaining about everything that's wrong with it like at 2 hours after they start playing it. Happens every time a game is hyped like this.
I think there'll be a handful of days where we're all just so happy to have it. You know, it's kind of like when you go on a date with the super hot chick and like your friends are like, dude, this girl's a walking red flag, but you're just like, she's great. She's amazing. She's perfect. And then like 6-7 months into that relationship, you're like, what am I doing? Why am I moving to Jacksonville? What the hell's wrong with me? Hypothetically speaking, of course.
Call me what you will, but I'll wait till it's on Game Pass probably and then give it a shot. I gave up sports games a long time ago because of all the violence.
All the violence?
Yes.
In sports?
The people who I was playing with would get violent when they lost. And so it's like, you know what?
Well, that sounds like you need new friends, not less video games.
Well, I moved here now. I have 0 friends, so I don't have to worry about that. But, you know.
Can't have violent friends if you don't have friends.
That is true, unless your imaginary friends are violent, and mine are. So. When a console slams against the wall so hard that a piece of plastic flies off and cuts your cheek a little bit, then you decide, you know what? Not worth all this anymore.
Okay, that seems like you have a friend with an anger issue, not a video game problem.
You could be watching. He always had an anger issue. When I'd go wake him up for football practice, they would let me come in the house and go up to his room. And he because we're all poor where we were, didn't have a door. He just had like a blanket over his doorway. So I would yell to wake him up and hit the blanket against the wall because things would be thrown against the blanket. And luckily the blanket absorbed all this stuff. Nothing ever got through because I was too fast. But yes. I have a grin, which is called the Reitel grin, which Cameron also has. When you're winning, you can't help it. The grin comes out and it makes people want to hurt you. So that was a long time ago when I was in my prime. Now I couldn't beat anybody.
When I was in my prime.
Yeah. Now I guess, this is why I do solo missions. Can't handle playing someone else.
I need to learn to do stuff when I write it down to do it, because I have a clip that I wrote down on Friday to record and pull a soundbite from. And now for the life of me, I cannot remember what it was from. It was the end of a clip. Whoever it was that we played it from goes, that was dope. That was dope. And I wanted to pull it. And now I can't remember who that clip was from.
Well, you can look it up, but I'm sure some fun things will show up if you do that. That was dope.
It's the most powerful mullet in existence.
Hey, it's amazing.
It's incredible. the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Talking a little bit of basketball here on the radio program as we had 3 games that led to elimination over the weekend. We had the Minnesota Timberwolves putting down the Denver Nuggets in Game 7, 98-90. We talked about that at the intro to the show. We had the Indiana Pacers putting away the New York Knicks, 130-109. Domination. Listen, this one doesn't require nearly the analysis that the Denver-Minnesota game does. It's very simple. The Knicks ran out of people. They ran out of bodies. Jalen Brunson had to leave the game with a busted hand after, I think, 37 minutes and could not return. And he was 3 of 9, 0 of 4 from length. On top of, 6 of 17, 1 of 3. It was Josh Hart that was 3 of 9, 0 of 4 from length. He had 10 points. He was not the same. Hartenstein played 30 minutes, was 0 for 2, no threes, no free throws, 8 boards, 0 points. He was minus 24 on the plus minus. It's a I don't know. It's a very simple analysis on this one. The Knicks had no people. They were out of people. They were peopleless at the end of this game, and the Pacers basically just had to go out there and get a practice game in before they move on to take on Boston. That's it. That's the whole analysis.
Always an excuse for the Knicks and why they can't. I obviously that's a good excuse, but always an excuse for why they can't get it done.
That's not an excuse. That's a reason.
And they can't get it done.
That's a reason. Lonzo, right now, if the Denver Nuggets ran it back last night and they had me in the starting 5, that's a reason they lose. That's a reason. That's not an excuse. You don't go, oh, let's do this. No. That's a reason you lost. When you do not have frontline starting NBA caliber starters on the field, and in this case, it's because they're all over in the med tent. Injuries are not an excuse in that case. They are a reason that you lost the game.
If you believed in bad luck, the Knicks are a bad luck team. They just can't. They can't do anything. They can't. When's the last time that they were relevant? It was what in the
when Patrick Ewing was there.
Exactly. No, seriously, that's the last time.
I do not disagree that this franchise has had bad runs. I'm not going to disagree.
Dude, that's like decades worth.
I agree. It has been a long time since the New York Knicks were relevant. I'm going to tell you this year the New York Knicks were relevant. Unfortunately, when they lost Randall 3 months ago, it started a chain reaction of injuries. Because once they lost him, you had to start putting Hartenstein in there for more action. You had to start going to Sims more often, who I think had 1 minute in that game yesterday. You started having to use other guys out of the role. And the more that you start using other guys out of the role, the more you end up in spots where guys are playing a game they may not be uber familiar with, or even if they are familiar with it, may not be the most comfortable in, and then leads to more injuries. And then you have Jalen Brunson. It's just it's a freak accident. It's sports. Welcome to sports, dudes. It's sports. It's going to happen. Injuries happen to every athlete. So I look at what happened to the Knicks, and I think that they were banged up enough. They had, at the end of this game, 4 of their 5 starters were not available. I recognize this is one of the things that bothers me in sports the most. When people say the phrase, it is my least favorite phrase in all of sports, next man up. It's like, yeah, that's how sports works. When one person is no longer capable of playing, be it from exhaustion or fouling out or injury, the next man has to step up and take that place. But the people who believe, not even believe, that's the wrong word. The people who pretend because they know better. The people who pretend that anytime that you lose a top guy, that the next guy is going to be able to step in and replicate what the top guy does. That is a fairy tale. That is imagination and nothing more. That's not how it works. If the guy behind the guy could do what the guy does, you'd have a split rotation. In fact, we actually have, hysterically, a very good illustration of that going on right now with a team that is still alive in the NBA playoffs. And that is the Dallas Mavericks. Here's the exact illustration of that. The Dallas Mavericks start at center Daniel Gafford, which, by the way, here's a fun fact that I learned this weekend. I am stunned that this jumped out at me. Lonzo, the longest string of consecutive made field goals in an NBA game is 35. 35 field goals without a miss, set by Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain. The next closest is 33 from Daniel Gafford. I'd have never guessed that if you gave me a million tries.
Well, I just heard of right now. Even though I watched the game, I did watch the game. I don't. His name just never stood out to me.
So let me tell you something very interesting about Daniel Gafford, and it relates to the next man up philosophy. Next man up only works if the next man up is as good as the last man up. Otherwise, it's a substitution. You're worse when this guy's out there. Now, you may have a game where he plays good enough to keep you in it, but if the guy that's at a 2 could do what the guy that is at a 1 does, then you would go back and forth between those guys so they stay fresher longer. And the perfect illustration of that is the Dallas Mavericks. Daniel Gafford and his backup, Derek Lively II. Derek Lively II. Have been splitting minutes. You go back to the last game that they played. In the last game they played, Gafford played 25 minutes. Lively played 26. The rest of the time was made up when they went with the small lineup. Game before that, it was like 27 and 24. Game before that, it was like 28 and 24. These guys they're neck and neck. They're the same guy. They're both big rim protectors. They're both okay offensive players. Not super stellar. And I will tell you right now, if I am a big man in the NBA, I want to go play with Luka Doncic so bad because Luka Doncic makes Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively look like Shaq sometimes. It's incredible. We'll talk about that later because this is why I'm very interested to see the Dallas Mavericks in the next round because of how Luka impacts the big man position. And I'm curious as to what impact that has when Rudy Gobert's down there. Anyway, in these games, almost to a T, almost, Gafford and Lively have within 3, 4, 5 minutes playtime with each other. And what the Mavericks have done, what Jason Kidd has done, and in fact, I think he deserves more credit for this. What Jason Kidd has done is he starts Daniel Gafford and he lets him play 4 or 5 minutes. But he says, I want you full throttle for 4 to 5 minutes. I want you absolutely, you know what's to the wall. 4 to 5 minutes. And after 4 to 5 minutes, he checks out Gafford and he checks in Lively. And then he says, Lively, I need you to go full tilt, full accelerator, all afterburner 4 or 5 minutes. And Lively goes in there and gives you 4 or 5 minutes full throttle. And then he pulls Lively and he goes back to Gafford. And then he pulls Gafford and he goes back to Lively. And then he pulls Lively and he alternates. And then at some point around the beginning of the fourth quarter, Jason Kidd makes a decision. Which one of those two guys is playing better basketball? Which one of those two guys is being the guy? And when he finds out which one of those guys is the guy, that's the guy who closes out the game. Sometimes it's Gafford, sometimes it's Lively. And that is why ordinarily there'll be a slight minutes edge for one over the other. Unless one of the two of them is absolutely balling out. And that's what happened last night. Last night, Lively was extremely efficient with the basketball and was rebounding ridiculously well. Lively last night had a double-double, 12 points, 15 boards. He also had 3 assists, a steal, and a block. Last night, Daniel Gafford was 4 of 7, but he only ended up with 7 boards. And so last night, Lively had 30 minutes and Gafford had 19 because down the stretch, in what turned out to be a 1-point game, 117-116, the Mavs move on. Down the stretch, it was very clear that Derek Lively had figured something out about how to rebound against this team. He was seeing, sometimes you just see the ball come off the iron, right? Dennis Rodman talked about this. Sometimes you can look up see the trajectory of the basketball, and you just see the ball come off the iron. Remember when Dale Earnhardt Sr. one time blew the minds of some media? He was talking to the media, and he said, I can see the air coming off the car ahead of me, right? I can see it. It's like he didn't mean he could literally see it, but it means he understands the air coming off the backs of the cars that were ahead of him so much that he knows exactly where to position his car to get the most out of the draft to give him a chance for a turn, for a pass out of the next turn. Some basketball players, they can see the ball, see the trajectory, and they just have a great eye to read which direction that ball is going to go and come up with a rebound. And for whatever reason last night, it was Derek Lively II that was having a great night seeing where the ball was coming, and so ended up with 15 boards in a game. He out-rebounded everybody in the game by 6 or more. He was just seeing the ball off the iron. And so Jason Kidd in the second half, in the fourth quarter, went to Lively. It's your night. Tonight it's you. Tomorrow, game 1, it might be Gafford's night. If Gafford goes out there and instead of going 4 of 7 from the field, he goes 7 of 8 to start this game, then later on down the line is probably Daniel Gafford's night to pick up a 30-minute. But in just about every series or every game in this series, with the exception of last night, it's like 25 to 24, 28 to 24 minutes. That's what I'm saying. So to take that and put it back on the Knicks, if the next guy up was able to step up and be the next guy, then their minutes would look like Gafford's and Lively's do. But they're not. So to me, because injuries happen. Now, you can start asking questions about the Knicks training, about the Knicks medical team, about the Knicks training staff, about the Knicks stamina programs. You can start asking all of these questions if you wish. And it's beyond fair. I am doing it right now with the Saints and with the Pelicans. Injuries have become such a story for my team that I'm like, I kind of want us to drop our medical sponsor. I kind of want us to get a new training staff because it's just been a constant stream of injuries that have hampered my sports teams. So you can ask that question to the Knicks, and I think it's a more than fair conversation to have. But when you have 4 of your 5 starters from day one unavailable, you're a worse basketball team. And that's not an excuse. That's a reason. Excuses are when something inside of your control happens and it stops you from succeeding. And a reason is when something outside of your control happens and it prevents you from succeeding. Injuries are outside of your control, unless it's down to your training staff and they're just doing something wrong. But I'm not going to say that's the case until somebody proves it's the case. So to me, the Knicks have a very good reason they lost to the Pacers. The Pacers are a good basketball team. They're a youthful, energetic, fun, up and down the floor basketball team. And the Knicks were missing 4 out of 5 starters. That's the game. That's all the analysis. I'm going to tell you this right now. If they figure out, and Tom Thibodeau figures out, how to not have all these guys get banged up, if Randall and all these guys are healthy into the postseason next year, the Knicks are ready to make a run at Boston. The Knicks are ready to take a run at the Boston Celtics next year if they can stay healthy. Basketball! I love it so much. I really do. Hey, Lonzo's got some basketball stories and also some other stories from a wild weekend of sports. And he is about to entertain your pants off with his sports flash.
Yeah. A new NBA champion will be crowned after the Nuggets were bounced in Game 7 by the Timberwolves, 98-80. The Wolves trailed by as many as 20, but Karl-Anthony Towns had a monster second half on his way to 23 points, and some clutch shots from Jaden McDaniels helped to seal the win. Controversial foul call in the last seconds of Game 6 sent P.J. Washington to the line for the Dallas Mavericks. 2 free throws and an intentional miss later, the Mavs sent home the 1-seed Oklahoma City Thunder. 117-116. Dallas trailed by 17 in the third quarter before a furious comeback led by Luka Doncic, 29 and 22 from both Derek Jones and Kyrie Irving. The Mavs and Thunder meet in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals coming up Wednesday. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, a lot of fun. Wire to Wire.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie James from my friends at PhD Weight Loss. You know, we're heading into the summer months and there are options for losing weight and the choices, well, they can be confusing. But I want you to pick the healthy, lifelong solution where you won't be hungry and it doesn't require medications, negative side effects, and forever dependency. I'm talking about PhD Weight Loss, where all you need to do is show up, learn, and put their advice into action with coaching every step of the way. Thousands of PhD Weight Loss clients, including me, will tell you that it works because PhD addresses all of the vices that contribute to weight gain, and it tackles them with new habits, a healthy nutrition plan for life, and coping mechanisms to help you navigate your relationship with food. PhD Weight Loss is a glorious new lifestyle designed by registered dietitian and licensed nutritionist Dr. Ashley Lucas. You're not going to be hungry. You'll learn what to eat. You'll learn when to eat. You'll drop the pounds, and you will achieve your goal weight. So get in touch with them at myphdweightloss.com. That's myphdweightloss.com. Hi, this is Diesel, and this is Cole Bryson from Wire to Line. We'll be live this Wednesday from 3 till 7 at Eagles Market at 1520.
Took care of that, whatever it was.
I had to pee. That was it.
Certified hater mode activated. Certified hater mode. I don't want them to see. What do I look like? Yeah.
All right, so this is a surprise because I think a lot of Panther fans are like,
Absolutely not.
okay,
Absolutely not. Hater mode activated. I don't want those guys winning the Super Bowl. You can't leave us and then go win a Super Bowl. No, that's not how it works. I hate Swifties.
The Rob Brown Show, now morning 6 to 10 on the Fan.
The Fan Upstate. Navigating the ups and downs of today's real estate market can be a little challenging. Home prices are up, inventory is down, and interest rates are up but headed down. But guess what? The Carolinas are still one of the best places in the country to buy or sell a home.
Stephen, they say heavy is the head that wears the crowns. In my case, heavy is the head. So I'm
Just with or without the crown.
just sometimes you got to rest it. Give the neck a break a little bit,
I'm adding a new minor league baseball cap to the rotation. I told you before the Blue Wahoos down in Pensacola for their MILB theme night, they become the Pensacola Mullets, as in the fish, but the logo is a fish with a mullet, and it is bright blue and neon green with a pink fish logo. And my brother picked me up one because they only sell them on the theme nights. My brother picked me up one, and I'm picking it up next time I go home, and I cannot wait.
If it doesn't have a fake mullet with it, though, I mean, how good is it really?
They actually do sell. It's not the real hat, but they have like a knockoff hat that has the fake mullet coming out, and I was real close. But I'll wear that hat a lot. I'm gonna have to the point that I spent time looking for neon blue and green shirts that would go with that hat, so I could force it into the rotation.
So your happy place.
Oh yeah. Happy place. I wore shorts today, people.
I know it's weird.
I wore shorts today.
I didn't want to say anything.
We're back, baby.
This is a little weird.
We're back.
Because I don't recall the last time you did that.
Last summer.
Whereas it would be more significant if I actually wore pants. So, I mean, thank you, closed building. Although I still would have wore shorts. I don't know what I'm saying, even if the building was open. The fight is such a disappointment. I wanted to see someone jump into one of the racers jump into the crowd. I mean,
we're about to talk about it.
It was right there.
We're going to talk about it.
I mean,
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown radio program goes now. Happy Monday, my dudes and dudettes, and boy, howdy, what a beautiful Monday morning. It is shaping up to be blue skies and not a cloud to be seen. Good day to skip work and go play some golf. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying if you did, you would probably enjoy it. I am Rob Brown, the great Lonzo, on the ones and twos this morning. Plenty of ways to be in touch with the radio program. The renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone is available for you at 844-326-3663. That's 844-FANFONE. The text line is open and available at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the air. You can tweet us or post us or X us or whatever else you want to do to us digitally at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word, or everybody up in here at The Fan Upstate.
All right, don't do whatever you want to me digitally. I'm not in on that.
As soon as I said it, I'm like, that bad way to phrase it. Already committed. Can't back out now.
Deep fakes are a thing, and you just said go for it.
Hey man, we're just trying to get attention out of here. I'm just trying to get noticed, man. So it is my dudes and dudettes, 7:02 in the morning. That means that you now have less than an hour till you have to get back to that soul-crushing, back-breaking experience that we call work, a job. But here's the good news. Because in that desert of displeasure, there is an oasis, and it's called a break. And on that break, you can do whatever you want. Go outside, smoke a heater, maybe walk next door, grab a hot dog and a beer. Whatever you want to do, you get that break. It's your time. It's your 15 minutes to shine, baby. And you, if you're listening to this show, likely, at least one of your breaks throughout the day, we'll talk sports. And if you're going to talk about sports, you need to know what's going on in the world of sports. You need to know the big things, the big stories that are taking place right now. And if you need to know the big stories in sports, you need the water cooler cheat sheet.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying, first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It is the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office for today, May 20th, 2024. Let's kick it all off with item number 1. 3 games over the weekend that rounded out our NBA conference finals. We start on Saturday evening where the Dallas Mavericks finished off the 1-seeded Oklahoma City Thunder. They win the series 4-2. This one very interesting. Why? Because the Thunder had a big lead in this game, north of 15 points for a hot minute there, and then the Mavericks chipping away. And in the final seconds of the game, a game in which the Thunder were leading, here comes a pass to P.J. Washington, and P.J. Washington gets his shot blocked in the corner. But wait, there's a whistle for the far side ref. And in a call that has been deemed controversial, a foul is called on a 3-point effort for P.J. Washington. P.J. goes to the stripe. He knocks down the first one to draw us level at 116. He knocks down the second one to give the Mavs a 1.117-116 lead. And then, high basketball IQ, he just clangs the third one intentionally. The Thunder have no time to do anything with it. And the Mavericks finish off Oklahoma City 117-116. There was nothing left for them to do except wait until yesterday to find out who their opponent was going to be. And now they know. The Minnesota Timberwolves knock off the Denver Nuggets and win the series 4-3 with a 98-90 victory as they eliminate the reigning, defending, undisputed NBA world champions. Nikola Jokic in this one had 34 points on 13 of 28 shooting, including 2 of 10 from behind the arc. Nikola Jokic can shoot a three. He should not be shooting double-digit threes. Can we all agree with that? I don't care if he's the MVP. There's no game in which Jokic should be putting up double-digit three-point efforts. But in this one, he almost kind of had to because you got 35 out of Jamal Murray, welcome back, and not another Nugget in double figures. I said coming in, to me, the key for the Denver Nuggets in the playoffs was Jamal Murray. But see, here's the thing. The key to me and the Denver Nuggets playoff runs is Jamal Murray, assuming everybody else is going to, do anything. You know that meme on the internet of the stick figure and he's poking something with a stick and it says, come on, do something. And then you can Photoshop like a logo or a person or whatever down there that's getting poked with a stick. Like that was me to the Denver Nugget offense, not named Jokic or Murray. I'm like, hey, do something. You going to do something? 4 points for Aaron Gordon, 7 points for Michael Porter Jr., 5 points for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and 5 points off the bench, all 5 scored by Christian Braun. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. If you combine the scoring points of everybody not named Jokic or Murray, they do not add up to one of the point totals of those two cats. That's it. There's your ball game. Nothing else needs to be said. We can say more about the Timberwolves, however. Jay McDaniels, 23 points, 23 for Karl Anthony Towns on a night in which Anthony Edwards was not efficient with the basketball. See, he got picked up by his teammates. Denver's not built to go 7 games. They weren't built to go 7 games last year. They just didn't have to. This year, Minnesota took them to 7 by stealing the first 2 on the road. And by the time they got to the fourth quarter last night, they were out of gas. That's what cartoon car sounds like when they're out of gas.
Oh, no, well done. I'm worried about being in the line of fire. That's all.
And finally, 130-109, the Pacers put away the New York Knicks. I already went through this one. Frankly, I don't think we need to spend a bunch of time on analysis. This one's real simple. The Knicks were out of bodies. Their entire starting lineup in the fourth quarter was unavailable to this team. You do not win with a bench. You win with a bench that helps your starters. You do not win with a bench as your starters. The Knicks tried to win with their bench as starters last night. Just couldn't do it. Ran out of bodies, ran out of time. The Pacers move on to the Celtics. That starts on Tuesday. The Mavs and the Nuggets get fired up on Wednesday. Let's go to item number 2. Xander freaking Schauffele is a stud. He's just a stud. He's just a stud. He takes home your PGA championship to finally clinch the first major championship of his career. The American-born golfer Haley from San Diego, California, stepped in to knock down a nail-biter. See, Live Tour tournament captain Bryson DeChambeau was in the back pocket. Bryson DeChambeau had himself a beaut of a final round. And so, here comes Xander Schauffele down the stretch. He's neck and neck with Bryson DeChambeau, and when he steps onto the tee box, a par sends him and Bryson DeChambeau to a playoff. So what does Xander Schauffele do? He says, no, sir. No, sir, I'm not here to play extra golf. You're getting 72 holes out of me, and I'm taking home the trophy. So Xander Schauffele, carrying around the big old brass ones, goes birdie on the 72nd hole. He turns in a 72-hole 265. It is the lowest 72-hole score ever shot at a major championship. I don't know what to tell you. Xander Schauffele was unbelievable. And I'm going to tell you right now, standing over about an 8-foot birdie putt on the 72nd hole of the third most prestigious golf tournament in the world. From 8 feet away, knowing that if you sink this, you win. And if you don't, you're going to a playoff against one of the best in the world, Bryson DeChambeau. Xander Schauffele stared it down, read it right, went left lip, rolled it in. It was a thriller. It gave you the old around the rim. And then it dropped. Xander Schauffele is going to go home with the trophy. Well done. Well done. Glad to see it, man. He deserved it. Absolutely deserved it. Played beyond excellent golf, man. Beyond excellent golf. Let's get to item number 3. I am utilizing one baseball score to set up something else that I want to point out to you. There is a major problem in Atlanta, Georgia right now. See, the Braves are not good. Now, wait a minute, Rob, you might say, as Cody Decker said to me on Saturday when I brought this up, the Braves are 26-16. The Braves are, and this is true, I looked it up, 10 games over 500. The Braves are in a position that right now they would be in first place in the AL West. They would be in first place in at least one other division. They would be in second place in most other divisions. They'd be second place in the NL West. They'd be second place in the Central. They are second place in the East. They'd be first in the AL West. They'd be third in the AL Central. They'd be third in the AL East. It's not a bad spot to be. There's a lot of baseball left. We've played just a touch over 40 games. There is plenty of time for Atlanta. But they lost yesterday 9-1. They also lost 3-1 in the game before that against the Padres. They lost 7-1 in a game before that against the Chicago Cubs. They did have 2 wins, 7-0 and 2-0. But before that, they lost to the Mets 4-3. In the 2 games against the Mets before that, they did win, but they put up 4 spots in both of those. Here is what I want to bring up to you. This is the worst 18-game stretch of run production that the Atlanta Braves have had since 2016. That's the last time you will find anywhere on the schedule an 18-game stretch where the Braves have had worse run production. In fact, it is the worst run production since 2016 and worse than the second, which was in 2018, by 20%. The Braves have scored fewer runs in an 18-game stretch than since 2016. If you'd like to go back to 2016, that was the last time the Atlanta Braves finished dead last in the NL East. And in that year, they won 68 games. They lost 93 games in that one. They were tied for the worst record in the National League with the Padres and the Reds. Something's wrong with this team. Here's some more fun numbers for you. Since the start of May, there are 4 players on this team that are qualified hitters: Travis d'Arnaud, Ozzie Albies, Orlando Arcia, and Michael Harris. Those are the 4 guys that have batting averages under 200. Not under 300, under 200. That number becomes 5 if you count the left fielders as a platoon, because you've got Duvall and Kalenic who have been splitting time out in left field. Jared Kalenic is hitting 179. Adam Duvall is hitting 143. There are 4 players and 1 qualified position, left field, that have batting averages under 5 spots in your lineup are batting sub 200. What do you want me to say? I'm sorry to do it, but it's panic time. And I don't know where to put the blame. There's part of me that wants to say maybe the loss of Ron Washington was bigger than we thought it was. I got Ronald Acuna out here dropping routine fly balls. Did you see that? Just a can of corn right to the glove of Ronnie, and it just right to the turf. What are we doing? That is last year's National League most valuable player, a guy who for the life of him can't hit. Ronald Acuna Jr. at home, just if you're keeping track, because I'm out here saying my dude joined an elite club. He will be back in the race this year for the National League MVP. I thought of course, he's going to be right back. He's got to be right back, right? Ronald Acuna Jr. at home is batting 177 with 0 home runs in his own stadium. That's last year's NL MVP. He has been thrown out, 5 times on the season? That's too many times. He got thrown out more times in a 2-game stretch. It matched his number of throwouts all season last year. I'm at the point now, and it's a tough spot to say because, again, you're 10 games over 500, 40 some odd games into the season. But remember what I said, that as much as everybody wants to knock this team down, the Philadelphia Phillies are going to be good this year. Did I think that they were going to win the division? No. Would I tell you to take a flyer to win the division this year? Absolutely not. But the Braves are 26-16. The Phillies are 34-14. They've played a lot more games than Atlanta has so far. But they are 5 full games up on the Braves in this division. And again, we're not even halfway home, right? Not even to the All-Star break yet. And a lot of teams, they find something and they come back around after the All-Star break. The problem is the Braves weren't supposed to have to be one of those teams. The Braves were supposed to be a team that threatened 105 wins this year. They're going to be lucky to get to 100 at the pace that they are on. The problem is they are 5 full games behind Philly, and Philly ain't slowing down. Now, I made the argument last week. Philadelphia has had by far the easiest schedule of any team in Major League Baseball to this point. And it's about to get a lot tougher for Philly. They got the Cubs coming up. They got the Dodgers coming up. They've got a very tough month or back half of May and June ahead of them. So the Braves should theoretically be able to get back into the swing of things. But if you look at the month of May, at the last 18 games, it is the worst 18-game stretch of run production for Atlanta since the 2016 team, a 2016 team that lost 93 games. So yes, those of you that have said, Rob, you're getting a little aggravating with your Braves pessimism. I don't know what to tell you. When the reigning defending National League MVP is batting 170 with 0 home runs in his own house and is getting his ass benched by his own team for playing poorly. When you have not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 spots in your lineup that are batting sub 200. When your running and runners in scoring position batting average is below 200 in your own hizzy for shizzy, there is a problem. There's a problem. There's a problem in Atlanta. And I'm almost to the point now that I kind of feel like Brian Snitker's got to be the question mark now. The manager who won your World Series just a couple of years back, I kind of got to put on the hot seat right now. I do. Because even at 10 games over 500, he's kind of got to be on the hot seat at this point. And he's kind of got to be on the hot seat at this point because you're letting the Phillies run away with the division. Your team stinks. Your team has more talent than anybody named the LA Dodgers. And I would argue they have more talent than the Dodgers if you go by returning all-stars to the lineup this year. But none of them are all-stars right now. Matt Olson's not an all. You have one all-star on this team right now. It's Marcell Ozuna, the one guy who shouldn't be. You have one all-star on this team, Marcell Ozuna. That's it. What are we doing, Atlanta? What are we doing? Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. Got a lot more I need to get to, including the reason that I will make jokes about Ricky Stenhouse for the rest of his life. That and more coming up on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate.
QC.
Quick live read, guys, and we're coming right back. Do me a favor. Stay right there. BRB. All right, stream, what's the word? How's everybody? Y'all quiet this morning, man. I need y'all up in the chat.
So we did the taco burrito thing Saturday.
And what was the ruling?
Of course, most people didn't think it was a sandwich. Cameron has a buddy who he plays Destiny 2 with who lives in Mexico.
Okay.
And he texted him to get what he said. Of course, he said they're not Mexican sandwiches. So should rephrase that. He's not living in Mexico. He's from he's Mexican. There we go. That's better. That's how that works.
Last night was the annual NASCAR All-Star Race at North Wilkesboro Speedway. There's a couple of fun stories that came out of this NASCAR race. First off, my favorite, and I got to dig back in to see if there's been more research done. I know they didn't have the time they wanted to because they had to get ready for the race. They renovated Wilkesboro. They renovated that stadium because they wanted to make it a little nicer for the NASCAR race because that stadium, a classic, a heritage track. For years, it had gone unused. And then eventually NASCAR was like, what if we ran a short track all-star race on not just a throwback track, but like one of the most historically important NASCAR tracks in existence. And so they picked North Wilkesboro. So they brought it to North Wilkesboro and they decided, let's renovate, let's make it nice. They started knocking down some of the old stands, great one. And do you know what they think they found under one of the stands?
Jimmy Hoffa?
Even better, or at least to me, even better. What they believe to be an old moonshine running cave that was built into the mountain but underneath the stands to run shine out of. Where the hell else would you put it except where you already have moonshine running cars racing? So you bring the car up, you race it in a race that weekend, and you stick some shine in the back of it, and you take it on out. Nobody ever knows the difference. So they haven't had the time to research it, but they believe they found an old shine distillery. Now that, to me, as a history dork, is kind of cool.
Hey, Billy, I think I found the cave.
Yeah.
Bring flashlight. Let's go see where it goes.
No word on if there was a still in there. And if there was, I'm going to tell you right now, if they find a still in there and then they can run it, if they start making moonshine whiskey out of that cave, it'll be the greatest selling whiskey in the South. I promise you. Now,
it probably already was.
Probably already was. So that's the interesting thing. Then they ran the race. And this is very interesting. It was a 200-lap all-star race. And it was, frankly, it was a little bit boring. It wasn't the worst race I've ever seen. Joey Logano, however, led 199 of 200 laps. The only lap he didn't lead was the first lap. And he took the lead, and he never gave it back. Now, there was some action behind him. Couple of dust. It's an all-star race. It's a race for a free $1 million. Of course, these boys are, and of course, you get your name on the banner. So of course, they're trying to win it. So there was a few dust-ups in the background. One of those dust-ups involved Kyle Busch and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. The dust-up happened because of two separate incidents. Early in the race, Ricky Stenhouse was in the rearview mirror of Kyle Busch. And Ricky thought he had an opening. So Ricky tried to take that opening. And when Ricky tried to take that opening, he got into Kyle. He shoved Kyle up into the wall. And he basically created a race where Kyle Busch could not be competitive. So a little later in the race, here comes Ricky Stenhouse. And what does Kyle Busch do? Puts his ass in a wall and ends his night. So Ricky Stenhouse is done. Kyle finishes the race. He checks in at 12th or 13th or whatever he was. And he finishes the race and he goes and he parks his car. And then he's going to walk from the car back to the hauler. And in one of the most, I don't know, cinematic moments in the history of NASCAR, as Kyle Busch is walking back to his hauler, that would be Hauler, the truck, not he going on back down to the hauler.
You got a little twang in there when you went holler. You can't
He's going
help
back on down to the hauler. So he's walking back to the very large truck where they operate out of at the track. And the camera's right behind Kyle's shoulders. And as he walks back to the truck, the camera slides out to the right. And off in the distance, you see in a khaki shirt and lime green shorts, leaned up with his elbow on the tires. And you do that thing where you put one foot in front of the other and you got the toe down, and it's like the most casual way that one can stand. I know you can't see it on the stream, but I'm giving you the best I can. There's old Ricky Stenhouse Jr. leaned up on the tires, elbow propped up, feet crossed. And as Kyle Busch rolls up.
What you want, boy?
As Kyle Busch rolls up, Ricky Stenhouse, well, he's got some words for old Kyle Busch, and they are nose to nose. And I'm sitting there at this point, I'm not watching the Nuggets Timberwolves game because I'm like, somebody about to get hit.
All right, so I watched it this morning, just an observation without sound on. You could see who was throwing the first punch.
Oh,
I mean, without a doubt, not hearing the interchange between the two, didn't have any clue what was going on, but I looked and went, yeah, short guy takes he swings first.
So Ricky's up in Kyle's face. Kyle's answering back. We got my guy William up in the chat saying, no, Ricky was clear. Kyle just acted like the crybaby he is. I'm going to be straight up, William. That's not how I see it, but I also acknowledge I'm a Kyle Busch fan, mainly because he ticks people off a lot, and I find that entertaining because I'm a terrible person. I don't know what you want me to say. So I think what happened in this race is 100% shaded by how you feel about the two different drivers. Either way, it results in Ricky Stenhouse getting up into the face of Kyle Busch. They're back and forth. And I said the same thing because I'll tell you what, and as somebody who is, for a little while there, my goal, my job was to prevent fights in bars, not engage in them, but to prevent them if I could. And I'm going to tell you what, one thing you learn is
were you nice till it was time to not be nice?
I was nice till it's time to not be nice. One of the things that you learn to look for is a distraction look. When somebody's squared up and you see them start looking away or pointing in different directions, you know what they're trying to do? They're trying to get the guy they're nose to nose with to follow that movement so that their eyes come off of the person so they can throw a punch without it being seen. That is one of the things you look for. When a guy's nose to nose and he starts turning his head and he's pointing or he's looking other directions, that's the guy that's ready to throw the first punch. That's the guy you have to stop. And that's what Ricky Stenhouse starts doing. So he starts doing that. And he points off back at the track and he turns his eyes and looks. And eventually, when Kyle isn't going to break eye contact, Ricky just reaches back and he throws it. It's not great, but it's not a bad right hand. It's an okay right hand.
You need to watch multiple. There are multiple angles, and one is better than the other.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. First right hand, not a bad right hand. Got a little iffy after that, but of course there's 50 guys in there that are trying to pull it off. There were 3 things that happened in this fight that blew my mind. Aside from the fact that Ricky Stenhouse just threw an overhand right at Kyle Busch, telegraphed it, but it connected, so it is what it is. The first thing that I noticed was that Kyle Busch got put on his ass, partially because he tripped over a tire, but partially because he got knocked backwards by the punch, and he fell on his ass. Well, Ricky had another old boy behind him who decided to try to end this fight. So, Ricky's got him by the shirt. He pulls him back. Ricky gets picked up, just lifted. There's nothing you can do in the world to make somebody angrier than picking a short man up off the ground. It's the most infuriating thing you can do. So Ricky gets his ass picked up and moved backwards. Now, the second thing that caught my attention, I lied, there's 3 things besides that. The second thing that caught my attention, out of nowhere comes a fella in a gray quarter zip with a backwards Ricky Stenhouse 47 hat on. And he goes after Kyle. As Kyle's getting up from being tripped over the tires, he pulls Kyle up by the back of the neck and then throws a very short range right at Kyle. No idea if it connected. I watched all the angles, could not see. And then this guy gets pulled away as Kyle gets pulled away from that fight. You know who that guy is? It's Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s dad. That's Ricky Stenhouse Sr.
Well, there you go.
Now,
good for him, I guess.
No.
Listen.
No.
If your dad comes in to help, so you'll get mad, Dad, I need your help.
That's a move is what that is.
Is it?
Yes. If your boy is old enough, I'm going to tell you right now, if your boy's old enough to throw smoke, your boy's old enough to catch smoke, okay? I'm going to tell you, my old man would tell me, if you're going to start a fight, make sure you can finish it, all right? Because Pops in that spot for me, and maybe this is old school, maybe it's not, I don't know. My Pops, pick you up from the hospital if you need me. You want to throw smoke, you catch smoke. If you're going to punch first, you better make sure you punch last. That's where part of the reason I have never been in a fight is because I'm not going into one until I know I can end it. And here's the fun thing about fights. You never know if you can end it. You just don't. Doesn't matter how big or small the other guy is. The question is, how insane is that person? How far are they willing to go? So the fact that Ricky's dad came in and threw a sucker punch at Kyle Busch is 100% a move. Not kinda, definitively a move.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. If you're going to come in and do that kind of fight, you might as well have some other people get involved.
You threw a sucker punch. That's what Ricky Stenhouse did, and then Dad threw a sucker punch. Because here's the fun thing. For the rest of his career, and he's going to deserve it, for the rest of his career, anytime Ricky has a problem, I'm going to go, oh, Rick, you going to have your dad come punch me? Hey, Ricky, you going to have your dad come beat me up? Is that you going to call Papa Bear? You going to call Senior? You going to call Senior on the phone and tell him to come say what you got to say to me? Or are you going to man up and do something about it? Or are you going to call your daddy? That the rest of his career, that's who he is now. He's the dude who's going to call his daddy to come fight for him. Guaranteed. That's the joke. Here's the second thing I noticed.
I'm going to say so to that because so.
Okay. Call your daddy and tell him to tell me what you want to say to me. If you can't handle the smoke, let Papa Bear fight for him. That's fine. That's fine. No, it's not fine. It's not okay. Okay? It's not okay. Second thing I noticed. There was a fella in a green jumpsuit. Did you see this, cat?
Well, I think you posted and pointed it out, and then I watched the video, and so I was looking for the guy. So, yeah, I saw it.
Green jumpsuit fella, and I don't know who he's with. I don't know if he's Ricky's team or Kyle's team or just like a guy who's like, ooh, fight, I want in. But that was one corn-fed son of a you-know-what. He was a big boy, and he was just throwing dudes to the ground. That's the guy I want to have.
See, I thought you were talking about the dude who was standing back there watching the whole thing.
That's my favorite guy.
That's who I thought you were talking about.
No. There was a fella in a green jumpsuit, just a big old corn-fed boy who was just tossing sons of biscuits around. Just, you're over there, you go over there, and nobody wanted the smoke from that guy.
Probably the Jack guy.
Probably.
Yeah, more than likely.
Nobody wanted the smoke from that cat. Soon as that guy got up and started muscling people, all of a sudden everybody's going in different directions. And then there was my favorite guy. My favorite guy of all. Standing in the background on the ramps to one of the trailers was just this guy. Black hat, black shirt, black pants. He's standing there with his hands in his pocket, watching the whole thing. Never moved. Stood there just like this the whole time. Just, oh yeah, that one looked, that sucked. Oh, that one looked like it hurt a little bit. Oof. I love that guy. That guy was a cold beer and a pretzel away from being the best life liver.
All right, the best part about that guy, didn't bring his phone out to film it. Because a lot of other people would feel he's just enjoying the
living in the moment, man. I love that. That guy was a cold Budweiser and a warm pretzel with beer cheese away from having the greatest weekend of any American last night. I love that guy. That guy's my favorite guy in the whole thing. Also, Ricky Stenhouse, if you got a problem with anything that I just said, call your dad. Tell him to let me know.
He is so full of this guy.
Ricky. I'm sorry, Rick Sr. Hey, let's take a break. That was fun. I'm not going to lie. I enjoy that. I had fun. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, quick live read coming right back. Stay right there, BRB. All right, thanks for hanging in there, streamers.
All right, so I looked it up because I was curious. Ricky's from Memphis, Tennessee. That explains it. I mean, if you're from the South and you got a chance to scrap, you're going to jump in. Don't matter if it's your boy or who it is. You're going to jump in there.
Not if it's your kid. You got to let your kid be your kid. Now, if the rest of Ricky's pit crew gets in there and Kyle's pit crew gets in there, that's one thing.
If Senior's known as a scrapper from back in the day, if he's got a chance to throw hands, he's going to do it.
A pugilist. I don't want to spend a ton more time on it, but I absolutely have to read this text. A texter wrote in a minute ago and said, I was watching live last night, and you can hear Recky Spinhouse, which is, by the way, my favorite NASCAR nickname now. You got the King, you got the Intimidator, and you got Recky Spinhouse. You can hear Recky Spinhouse say from the ground, very dejectedly, somebody get my dad. I'm not entirely certain he expected Pops to actually join in, though.
See, now I need to listen to see if he called him his Diddy.
Yeah, no, 100%. We're
Get my Diddy.
On this break, I am sorry, stream, you're going to have to hang out for like 1 minute. On this break, I'm taking the stream down for 1 minute so that we can watch that video. Because I can't imagine there's not at least and maybe you thrown in there somewhere. I got to imagine that's the case. It's a NASCAR pit. But if Recky Spinhouse said after getting lifted in the air and put on the ground, somebody get my dad.
All right.
That's a bad look.
This thing is so much a work. It's embarrassing. You got a film crew following you over there for the fight. And of course, Vince McMahon Sr. came in to save his son. That's how it works.
Vince McMahon Sr.
I mean, come on. The film crew perfectly in place, coming up behind him as he walks over, knowing it's.
So here's a theory that got thrown around last night.
This was backyard wrestling. That's what this was.
Here's the theory that got thrown around last night. And I'm not even going to say I disagree with what you're saying. You might be right. NASCAR right now is going through, again, like 2 minutes, and then we're moving on from this. NASCAR has over the years been trying to work ways to get viewership back up. Because again, the overwhelming perspective of America is NASCAR is what? It's cars driving left and going fast for a long time. And again, it's not that. It's so much more than that. And I've won plenty of people into racing by just taking them, right? But that's the perspective, and you have to get people, you got to hook people into watching a race if you want to make them race fans. So how do you hook people? You put that out there. Look at the crazy stuff that happens in a NASCAR race. So when you know, because there's somebody on the TV crew watching every square inch of that racetrack looking for anything. There's 100% if you want to keep with the wrestling stuff, there's a Vince Russo down there somewhere with 1 million TV monitors, and he goes, camera 4, Ricky Stenhouse is in neon green fighting shorts, and he's leaning up on the tires next to Kyle's trailer. Why don't you follow Kyle on over to his trailer just in case? Over. And then the camera guy jumps in the back pocket of Kyle Busch because he's just been told Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is waiting for Kyle Busch at his hauler. If you get home and somebody's standing there in your driveway waiting for you, one of two things is happening, and one's real good and one's real bad. Either you're about to get handed a large check with your name on it, or you're about to get handed a large check that your mouth wrote, if you get my drift.
All I can say is congratulations to Kevin Dunn for getting a job so quickly after being let go from the WWE. Definitely some Dunn-esque
for sure.
camera angles in there.
It was wild, man. You had the zooms in, the zooms out. It was absolutely WWE. But again, let's call it what it is. This is a sport that needs every gimmick they can find. That's why we're having all-star races at North Wilkesboro. That's why we're having all-star races at all. Because they used to just be a weekend off. They need something to get people in. I need you to watch a race, because once you watch a race and you start learning about racing, that's where you get race fans from. But I got to get you in, and this was a fantastic way to get people in. Because I promise you, great one, NASCAR's gotten more time on the national networks this morning than they have at any race so far this year. And I'm including Talladega, I'm including Daytona, I'm including Bristol, I'm including all of them. They've gotten more screen time today. And now you got people that maybe they're not big racing fans, but if they know that a hockey fight might break out every now and then, they might check it out. And if I can get them on the hook, man, it's like fishing. I can't set the hook until I get you nibbling on the bait. But once I got you nibbling on it, whoop-pow, I got you.
Yeah, but if you're tuning in for the fights and you don't see any, you probably watch a couple races and you go back away.
Again, but this is why they do so much at the beginning of the race. Because they know you have a limited time to hook a non-race fan and turn him into a race fan. But you got to do it right at the get. But this is how somebody goes, well, now I got to tune in next week to see because here's the thing. Ricky and Kyle are both going to be on the lead lap when the green flag drops next weekend. They're both going to be on the lead lap, and they're going to be close to each other. And now the question is, do these two idiots start wrestling each other in their cars on the track? Because if so, what do you get out of that? Crashes. And the thing that people watch NASCAR for more than racing is the wrecks. I love it. I love it. Is Recky Spinhouse any kind of nod to the great Swervin' Irvin? Now, I'd say Recky Spinhouse is more disrespectful, and I like it. And if Recky's got a problem with it, Tell his dad the phone number is 844-326-3663. We can talk about it.
I've heard some complaints, and they want me to apologize. That's not going to happen.
You got a new Chuck sounder. I like it. All right, let's get to more stuff here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Nope. Alexander Usyk. Split decision dub, gets the win over Tyson Fury. We can still talk about it Thursday, Lonzo. I'm happy to talk about it.
No, that's not it. I pick which stories that I'm going to do in the Sports Flash.
Yeah.
And then I'm not going to repeat.
Sorry.
No, I'm
Read
not
it
going
again.
to. No, I will move it to the next one. It's I don't think it's good form to talk about it and then say it again. So there's enough stories to move around. You just took that from me and I had it in my mind what I was doing next. That's all. And as we can see, I'm struggling today.
We have a new reigning, defending, and most importantly, undisputed world heavyweight champion, because Alexander Usyk takes the split decision over Tyson Fury. To me, it should not have been a split
Why are
decision.
you so happy about this?
I'm happy because we had a damn good, real boxing match between two titans of the ring.
This is just about the rematch, though. Is this about the rematch?
So you think it's a show? It's a work.
When from what I've seen, when the Gypsy King is being knocked around the ring, a lot of people are comparing that to rope-a-dope and other things. I think this is it's about the rematch.
I don't. I think Usyk beat him.
The redemption of Tyson Fury as he tries to get back in there and win his championships back. Maybe you're following he and his training camp a little bit closer. There's just it's about the rematch.
But if you do that, you discount Alexander Usyk as anything but a jobber. And he is the best on the planet right now. He has beat everybody. If that is the angle you go with, you're just saying Usyk's a jobber. And I have a problem with that because, yes, I'm going to say right now, if the punch that put Fury into the ropes and then he got saved by the bell happens in the middle of the ring, Tyson Fury's night-night. He popped him.
Fury's been knocked down before.
I agree.
I
agree. But I don't think anyone has pummeled him the way that Usyk pummeled him in that round. Not the whole fight.
All right.
Because I had
listen,
it one.
I will believe if he wins the second fight. That's how you'll convince me.
Listen, championship teams do lose the next year. I'm not saying Fury can't come back and beat Usyk. What I am saying is in that fight, I absolutely had it 114-113 Alexander Usyk.
Okay, well, I you know about the scoring system. Most people get pretty upset about when it goes to decisions, period, because they're not very good at it.
I'll put that up in a minute. No, listen, I think Fury had the edge early, but I also think that Usyk knows that Fury has a granite jaw, and the only way to get to him is you've got to get him worn out. So I think that Alexander Usyk was basically like, I'm going to eat every punch that's not a power punch. But Alexander Usyk had a higher jab percentage, had a higher power strike percentage, had a higher control percentage, had more punches landed and fewer punches taken. Every aspect that you were great to fight by, Alexander Usyk had the number, had the advantage. He absolutely won that fight. Now, when you have two of the best to ever do it, and I do believe that Fury and Usyk are in the heavyweight division two of the best to ever do it, that is not to say Fury can't come back and win the next fight. What I am going to say is that I don't want to hear another damn word about Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. I don't, because unless they're going to give me that much of a boxing match.
Did I know that's where you were going with this? So you can't talk about this match without talking about the other thing?
Correct. Let me tell you why.
You don't have to watch the other thing. More people will watch that than watch this fight.
Yes, and that's ass, and that's what I'm mad about.
You should be thankful for boxing being talked about, because without that, they're not talking about boxing.
You're right, because boxing is being talked about now.
Yeah,
not YouTube exhibitionists.
On a small scale, it's going to be talked about on a worldwide scale after this fight with Tyson and with the Paul brother.
Yeah. I was on Bet for the Cycle on Saturday,
which you're on every week.
Sure am, from noon to 4 on the BetQL Network.
Come on,
and Odyssey app and Odyssey stations nationwide. I was on Saturday, and my boy Double D, who is our content producer in Chicago, he gets on the mic during one of the breaks and goes, "Hey, Rob Brown, I got a boxing expert on. Do you want him on? Now I'm in my mindset because it's noon on Saturday. That fight's Saturday afternoon. It's all I've been looking forward to for a Saturday afternoon. I can't wait to watch that fight. I'm like, yeah, because in my head, we're about to break down Usyk Fury. It's going to be the heavyweight fight of the year. I can't wait. And he goes, great. I'll go ahead and ring him up. And I said, spectacular. And he goes, I'll go ahead and send you the odds for the fight. And I went, good. I know what they are already because I've been paying attention for when I'm ready to put a wager down. He goes, I'll send you the odds to the fight. And that way you can have the breakdown of like who's favored and how many rounds and knockout v whatever. And I'm like, great, that's awesome. And he goes, great, I'll schedule him for the next segment. And I said, great, that's awesome. And he goes, all right, the odds are in your inbox. And I pop open my email, and there's my email from David Dykstra, Double D. And I pop it open, and it's Jake Paul's favorite bet. And I'm like, no, Double D, are you bringing this guy on for the Jake Paul fight? And he goes, yes, I am. And I went, tell him he's got to come on another show. And he goes, what? And I went, if he's coming on as a boxing analyst to talk to me about about Paul Tyson, when Fury and Usyk are fighting literally in 3 hours. If the boxing match he's paying attention to is a 57-year-old man versus a YouTube exhibitionist, instead of the two best pound-for-pound heavyweights on the face of the planet who fight today, then I don't want him on my show. It is the first time in a very long time that I turned into an ass to one of my producers. Maybe the first time in my career. I'm like, I appreciate the effort.
I don't know, man. I could bring up some incidents, but anyway.
Disagree, but digress. I said, Double D, I love you. You're great. Thank you for everything you do. But if this guy wants to come on to talk about a 57-year-old grandfather and a YouTube exhibitionist and not about the two best pound-for-pound heavyweights on the face of the planet who fight today, then he's not the boxing analyst that I want on. We'll do something else later. That's how committed I am to this.
So you decided on the program where a lot of people are watching, a lot of people are listening, that that the thing that everyone's talking about, you don't want to talk about it.
Exactly right.
Okay.
Exactly right.
All right.
In the course of time that you and I have been working together, how many times have I said, it's my show, we're not doing that? Zero. Not once.
Well,
I've never said that to you.
I don't get to come up with stuff. So
yeah, you do. You submit stuff, all the stuff.
Yeah.
You brought me Fight Club.
Yeah.
That's your baby.
No, you decided to bring that over.
Point here is
anyway,
I've never said it.
Okay,
I've never said it.
right.
I don't say that. I wouldn't say
just
that.
ignore it. It's like, oh, I didn't get that. Good move on that producer, though. I mean, he knew how you'd react. He went for it anyway, and I'd like to think Mario's behind it, and good for him. You used to be one of us, Rob. Do you actually forget? So when you've reached the pinnacle, you've risen above the lowness that is a producer, and now you forget what it's like to be one of us. And
you made us late for break.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did. You made us late for break.
You don't know how much time we actually have in the break.
You made us late for break. Ladies and gentlemen, the reigning, defending, undisputed heavyweight champion of Sports Flashes is Lonzo. And it's my show. I'll allow this to happen.
Yeah. I'm so much of a champion. I'm a champions. Indiana went on the road to Madison Square Garden and knocked off the Knicks 130-109 to move on to the Eastern Conference Finals. All five Pacer starters entered in double-digit points, led by Tyrese Halliburton with 26 and 20 from Andrew Nembhard and Pascal Siakam. Indiana will face Boston in Game 1 on Tuesday night. A new NBA champion will be crowned after the Nuggets were bounced in Game 7 by the Timberwolves, 98-80. The Wolves trailed by as many as 20, but Karl Anthony Towns had a monster second half on his way to 23 points, and some clutch points from Jaden McDaniels helped to seal the win. Make sure you tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, a lot of fun, and it's all Wire to Wire. I'm sure none of you have ever heard Rob be mean to me. Ever. Just because I deserve It doesn't mean you should do it. What do you mean what happened? I killed it, dude. Oh, no, nothing really happened. It was just, yeah, it was, as a famous man once said, know your role. Don't you come in this room like Stenhouse Sr.?
Somebody call my dad.
Did he? You know what he said? We gonna get him, not did he?
All right. You missed it. That kid over there in the gray shirt and the hat, that man in the blue catches the baseball clean. He's holding it like this. The kid takes his glove and goes and tries to knock it out of the guy's hands. I'm going to tell you right now, I'd have words for that kid, and I don't care if his daddy's right there. I'd be furious.
Well, that's Stenhouse Senior parenting right there,
Yeah,
isn't it?
I'd be furious. All right, I actually haven't seen this angle. Oh, yeah, he gets him.
I don't know. I think he moved his head. Again.
No, he gets him. He might have caught some arm on the way over, but that connects.
I want to see some slow-mo.
She is cracking up at the fight. That's the most embarrassing. That might be worse than your dad.
No, she saw how fake it was.
Everything's a work.
So thank you for pointing out that I made us late so I could get in trouble. That's very much what someone would do to a producer.
You sit there. You made me sound like a previous.
No, I didn't.
Colleague.
No, I didn't.
Hey, you did.
Oh no, he's 1,000 times worse than me.
You're just a little of a jerk.
Well, I believe it was you, or maybe it was him who said you got to be a jerk to get ahead.
It's not me. I said you got to have an ego to get ahead, which.
You're right, Stephen. He did, but I was able to persevere and get through and stick my landing. You know, in these adverse conditions, I was able to be a professional. You know, I'd like to thank my upbringing, all my kin, for helping me along the road. Prize picks in the first break.
Prize picks in the first break. The third hour of the radio program goes now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown and the Great Lonzo with you here on a lovely upstate Monday morning. Be a part of the show. 844-FANFONE. That's the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone. 844-326-3663. You can text us at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the air. The Preakness Stakes took place this weekend. Quick, who won?
A horse.
That is correct. That is correct. What was the horse's name? See, nobody knows because none of you care. So next year, when the Derby rolls around and I start saying, hey, I'll go to any party. I love a party, but like, can we stop? Can we stop? Can we stop filling up my email with requests for interviews about the Derby? No, because none of you care. We never care. I don't know why this is a thing. I don't know why it's still a thing. It shouldn't be. It doesn't need to be. Horse racing should go away now, because if I go man on the street and ask 100 people downtown who won the Preakness Stakes, 3 of them will know the answer. And that's only because they bet on it. Not because they actually care, but because they bet on it.
I'd be interested if you just word it that way, if people know what it is.
Yeah. What is the Preakness Stakes? Preakness Steaks. You can buy those down at the butcher shop, can't you?
Or they have those trucks that roll around.
Yeah.
They're pretty good deals.
Yeah, it's like a Swan truck, and you buy your Preakness Steaks out of the back.
Yeah. Preakness Steaks, a good cut. It's not bad for out of the back of a truck.
It's horse meat.
Yeah, but
it's
you season it right.
Unreal. So stop with the Preakness Stakes. Stop with Churchill Downs. Stop with the horse racing. Stop. Here's another one. What's the last race in the Triple Crown? Y'all know the Derby. Then we got the Preakness Stakes. What's the last race in the Triple Crown? None of you know, because none of you truly care. None of you care. The only way anybody cares about the third race is if the winner of the first 2 races is the same athlete.
Wow, this is killing me because I know this. I can't think of it.
For sure. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. You care if there's a Triple Crown winner, and even that, you don't really care. Quick, who's the last Triple Crown winner?
Secretariat.
Yeah. What's that one they made a movie out of? Seabiscuit. Was it Seabiscuit?
Well, it was a Secretariat movie too, so yeah.
I have cared about one horse, and that horse was Mr. Ed. It's the only horse I care about.
Of course.
That's not true. I cared about one racing horse, Hoof Hearted. That's my favorite horse. The only horse I ever cared about. To me, every track should have a statue of Hoof Hearted.
You didn't care about your horse in Red Dead Redemption?
Only real horse I cared about.
Okay, because I didn't care because
I think that's the last game.
I couldn't keep my horses alive. That's why I hate that game.
That's the last game that made me cry, and it was about the horse. It's BS. I don't care about horse racing, and y'all don't care about horse racing. So next year when the Derby rolls around, if I am fortunate enough to still work here, when I come on the airwaves and I go, I'm not talking about the Derby. I'm not breaking it down. I'm not giving you the favorite. I don't care. I care about Hoof Hearted. I care about Artax. And that's the list. That's the horse. And the horse.
Just go never ending story.
Yes. That horse, Hoof Hearted, and the horse from Red Dead Redemption 2. Those are the only 3 horses. And Mr. Ed, 4 horses. There are 4 horses I care about. Outside of those 4 horse, man, I don't care about the rest.
I'd throw in Roach from Witcher, but you don't play that game. So
Yep. Yeah. So I'm out on that. Artax, Mr. Ed, Hoof Hearted, and the horse from Red Dead Redemption 2. That's the whole list. Outside of that, don't care. Texas said, what about Black Beauty? Well, as I was a boy when that movie was in my face, no, didn't care about Black Beauty.
I think that movie was, you were probably thinking of the remake.
No, they made us watch the old movie when I was a kid.
Oh, that's cool. Wow.
Yeah, that was the day that the English teacher came in sick and not feeling great. So they rolled the old box TV in on that squeaky ass card and popped the VHS in. And I would like all of you to write down the themes of Black Beauty.
You mean Chris rolled that?
Yeah.
Someone Chris rolled that in and was all happy and put that tape in there. And
yeah. Don't you want to? I don't care about Black Beauty.
I watched it actually on the film thing on the projector. It was amazing.
I'm gonna make a video for social media about why there are 4 horses that matter: Hoof Hearted, Mr. Ed, Artax, and the horse from Red Dead 2. That's it. That's the whole list.
I don't know. You said 4 horses, and that makes me think of the apocalypse, which also makes me think of the 4 horsemen. I'm not gonna woo.
Woo! Oh, Ole Anderson passing away. I didn't even mention that on the show. That's disrespectful.
Arn to come in here and take care of your butt like you're a granny.
All right. Lots of other stuff we need to get to on the radio program. This is interesting to me. We have been talking quite a bit about the NCAA's possible settlement, probable settlement is what we should say. Texture said, who's Liberob trying to fool? We know you had My Little Ponies. Followed by Rob's favorite My Little Pony was the purple Izzy Moonbow. Hilarious. You know the name of the My Little Ponies, but you're coming at me, dog.
You secret Barney?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
Okay. All right.
I did at one point date a woman who had a small child, and she was all about My Little Pony friendship is magic. And Applejack was pretty dope, is all I'm saying. All right.
You should
Applejack was dope.
You should watch a Brony documentary.
I should not.
They're interesting.
Listen, over the weekend, I had my faith in humanity just a little restored. I don't need it to come crashing back down. Okay. I still believe in us. I believe in the power of us.
Hey man, whatever you're into, I guess.
In an email Saturday morning, Big East Commissioner Val Ackerman said that she expresses, quote, strong objection, end quote, to the NCAA's proposal on how it is determining back damages related to the consolidated settlement in the House, Hubbard, and Carter antitrust cases. She says she is seeking ways to, and I quote, alter the plan that the NCAA and A5 have orchestrated. The settlement is in the final stages of adoption. It consists of three main concepts. We've talked about them. Back damages of $2.77 billion, revenue sharing for current and future athletes, upward of $22 million annually per school, and an overhaul of a variety of NCAA elements, including scholarship and roster limits, governance structure, and enforcement arm. The Big East, under the formula that's in play now, the Big East will be responsible for about $5 to $7 million of the settlement annual, or about $70 million, as much as $70 million over the next decade. I figure that works out to between $600,000 to $700,000 per school per year. Ackerman wrote, quote, based on the numbers we have reviewed, the liability of the 22 non-FBS conferences under the proposed formula appears disproportionately high, particularly because the primary beneficiaries of the NIL back pay accounts are expected to be FBS football players. I have voiced the Big East's strong objections to the proposed damages framework through recent emails to Charlie Baker and his counsel and through comments during commissioner calls over the past 2 weeks. Ackerman is not the only non-FBS leader that has stepped up and planned to fight a change in formula, though she says she is, quote, unclear how much time or leverage, end quote, they have in such a battle, while the leading defendants in the case, the high revenue-generating football powers, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the SEC, and the ACC, and, of course, the remaining former members of the Pac-12. Power conference leaders are planning to vote and in all likelihood adopt terms of the settlement as independents. Meetings of their boards of presidents and chancellors are expected to take place this week. Decisions are expected starting as soon as tomorrow and should be in by as late as Thursday, when the NCAA Board of Governors plans to meet to review and potentially authorize the settlement, according to Ackerman's letter. Big East leaders are expected to further discuss the matter tomorrow. They have their league meetings taking place down in Florida. So this is going to be really interesting because the non-FBS schools, the small schools, that are still under the NCAA banner are saying, hey, yo, this is going to cost us more money, not in terms of numerical value, but in terms of a percentage of our annual budget. You are going to be taking more percentage-wise out of our coffers than you will out of the big schools. It is going to cost us. It is going to hurt us more. In an article posted on Yahoo Sports, Ross Dellinger said, quote, for those conferences such as the Big East, the back damages loom as a significant expense compared to their athletic budget because the NCAA's formula is calculated on basketball-related distribution and not total athletic budget. The Big East is at a financial disadvantage. Its success in basketball is actually a hindrance. The league routinely earns more in distribution than even some power conference leagues, but its athletic budget without FBS football programs are often significantly lower than the power of G5 conference budgets. The breakdown of total damage payments offers more clarity. Dellinger said that in the Big East, a reduction of $600,000 annually for a decade is a much higher percentage of a school's total budget. UConn, the only public school member of the Big East with an FBS football program, has a reported budget of $90 million. The school, the winner of the past 2 men's national basketball tournaments, is believed to be the highest grossing athletic department in that league so far. Everyone else dramatically behind them. I'm going to be real. I don't know what to do about it. I don't know what to do about it. I don't know if you need to write up a special plan for FCS schools. I don't know if you need to write up a special plan for teams whose basketball revenue comes in higher than their football, or if they don't have a football program at all. All of this obviously is hinged on football. All of this is hinged on the operating budget based on the money that comes in from the football program. But I think Val Ackerman kind of has a point here, and Dellinger confirms that by looking through the budget and saying, yeah, basically, the schools like, well, Val Ackerman's school, the school like all of the ones in the Big East, are basically getting a bad deal here. You got a good deal if you're a FBS football powerhouse where the budgets are better and the percentage of your budget that goes towards the back pay is lower than the basketball-driven schools who make less money overall but are having their basketball budget looked at as the chief indicator of how much they are going to pay. I've said in the past, college football at the small level, college sports at the small level is not going anywhere. There will be some schools that have to cut programs. There's going to be some track and field programs that are cut somewhere. There's going to be some lacrosse programs. There's going to be some field hockey programs. There's going to be some swimming and diving programs that have to be shuttered. But I do think this is fair. The counter argument, I think, is going to be, yeah, but we're using your basketball budget because that's where your best athletes are. It is a percentage owed to the athletes that would have made NIL money or could have made NIL money. And for you, that is basketball. That is the sport that determines your budget. So I don't know. This whole thing is going to be quite interesting to watch play out. And I don't know that I think the Big East may have waited too long, frankly, right? Like they're approving this settlement this week, but the Big East rolls out on Saturday. Oh, we have a problem with it? You probably should have voiced that like 3 weeks ago when this discussion came to the forefront. I think maybe you would have had some time to like try to maybe get the power conferences to tinker a little bit. But at this point, the framework's done. At this point, it's pretty much a bunch of suits sitting around a table voting aye is really all that's left to happen here. All right, we got to take a break. I got a few more things. I got a lot more things. We had a great weekend. We got to talk some more basketball as our conference finals are set. We've got the Pacers and the Celtics on one hand. On the other, we've got the Mavericks and the Timberwolves. A little shock out of the West. We'll talk about that. We'll get into some NFL win totals based on the release schedules from last week, including Carolina's coming up later on the show. We got some news out of their rookie camp and more. It's all coming up on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, quick read. We're coming right back. Stay right there. BRB. did you come up with playing?
You never
Was that
heard
Tennessee
Tennessee Ernie Ford.
Never heard.
He's famous for a song called Mule Train. And like 2 weeks ago, we're driving around and I saw a train and Mule Train popped into my head. So I put it on Spotify just to torture Cameron. And yeah, back in the 70s, there were things called K-Tel albums.
Yep.
K-Tel albums would have a bunch of people on there. That's where I discovered Tennessee Ernie Ford. But I think my mom may have had a record of Mule Train. There was one on last time I played it talking about donkeys, different kinds of donkeys, and where they were shipping them off to. It used to be a good joke because they couldn't figure out who was doing it. Now everyone knows it's me because, you know, narcs.
Who else would it be?
Because narcs, but, you know. Although Fat Boy may get blamed for that because he likes throwing the country up on there. Oh, that's more Americana than it is country. Yeah.
That was
straight up old time country.
That is old time country.
Country before I was born.
Yes.
So you're not adding Tennessee Ernie Ford to any of your playlists?
Again, I would absolutely. It would be, I'd have to be in the mood for that. I'd have to be hanging out in that moonshine cave.
I'm so lackadaisical today. It's just, I don't know what happened.
Turns out Lonzo does like country. It just has to be 100 years old.
I don't like country. I like torturing people with stuff they've never heard before, though.
What was it?
Ernie.
Tennessee
Ernie Ford.
Tennessee Ernie Ford.
He also, if I recall, used to push flour. He had a brand of flour that he would push all the time. And I forget what it was. Talking about biscuits.
Tennessee Ernie Ford. I learned something today. He is remembered for his hit recordings of The Shotgun Boogie and 16 Tons, which was about your mom. Oh, got him. I don't know. I'm in a mood today.
You've heard 16 Tons before. 16 Tons.
And what do you get?
See,
Yep. All right. I know I'm not. Well, I don't know him. I know that song. He apparently was Ford's appearance as Cousin Ernie in 3 episodes of I Love Lucy in 1954 and 55 made him a household name. Also, Lucille Ball made Tennessee Ernie.
Like I said, before I was born. I saw him on a bunch of K-Tel albums, and it just sticks in my head. You know, as I start to lose more and more in my head, I'm probably going to live more in the 70s. So there you go.
Oh, my soul to the company store.
Wow, I don't even know the song.
That's like the next lyric, dude.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Hey, so I have a problem. I have a problem I need to talk about with you, ladies and gentlemen. And the interesting thing about this segment is that I have to tell you about a thing that I have a problem with that involves a particular person, yet I have to do my best not to say their name. Yesterday, there was a Game 7 in the National Basketball Association. The Indiana Pacers were on the road at the New York Knicks. Madison Square Garden, arguably the most historic basketball arena in the United States of America.
Whatever.
The Pacers go on the road. They travel out east. They head to the Big Apple, and they take on the NYC Knicks. Well, here's the problem that I had. I turned into coverage of that game. And as I was watching coverage of that game, I, for just a minute, swore that I was watching the MSG net. I swore that I must be watching the Knicks pregame special because it was Knicks, 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 just Knicks, 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 Knicks. It was never anything but the Knicks. And it all seemed to be centered around, by the way, not just a national sports network, but the national sports network. It was centered on the biggest sports broadcasting outlet in America, and it was centered around one personality. It was centered around one guy. It was just a love fest for the Knicks about this one guy. It was him, not to give the game away, but screaming into a microphone over and over and over and over. It was him hugging up on Spike Lee. It was him giving his breakdown on why Jalen Brunson's the MVP. It was just one thing or the next and the next. And then it got to the point, and this kind of blew my mind, because over the past couple of years, there has been this fascination. There's been this fascination with showing NBA players as they arrive to the arena, which is not a basketball thing. They do it in hockey a lot. They do it in baseball. But it's they go with the fit check now, right? And these players have kind of embraced it. So now you got guys showing up, with the either super sharp suits over here or dudes showing up over here dressed like they found their outfit at a dumpster behind a Goodwill. But that's fashion, baby. You just wouldn't understand Rob Blue Steel. And so they're showing these players arriving. And they show Jalen Brunson, and they show Tyrese Halliburton. These are, you may know if you follow basketball at all, basketball players. In fact, very, very talented basketball players. The basketball players that were expected to be the guys who are going to make the most impact on a Game 7 in the NBA playoffs. In the NBA's Eastern Conference Finals, Game 7. We should be dialed in, locked in like a heat seeker, boop, 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 on Game 7. And who do they show enter the arena next? That guy, that personality, a guy who is, and this is true, not an NBA player. And as far as I know, never was an NBA player. So they go from Pacers All-Star Tyrese Halliburton to Knicks All-Star Jalen Brunson to a guy who talks into the camera. They show him arriving to the arena as if he is going to be suiting up and checking in this evening. And it was just more and more and more of that. And then after they showed this cat walking down the hallway as if he was a basketball player, heading to the locker room to check in to the basketball game. Just a few minutes later, as they're, let's make up a show name. Well, it was right before the game started, so let's say countdown. Let's say they were counting down to the game. So on their countdown show, not to name names, they decided to take a break from 3 former basketball players, well, 2 and an analyst, who were actually breaking the game down. Hey, you should watch this and watch that, and this is their style, and they're going to want to run this tactic, and they're going to try for this, and they're going to go for that. Good basketball things from knowers of ball. And they decided to stop that so that this individual could go on the camera and host a pep rally for the Knicks. That's what they decided to do. Not to allow analysts and former players who are giving their breakdown on the games, what this game means, and the impact this game could have on the Eastern Conference Finals for whoever wins it, and the players that are going to be expected to do certain things tonight for their team to have the best chance to win this game. No, we didn't stick with that. We went courtside to this loudmouth who then gave a pep talk to the Knicks and New York fans. If you were a Pacers fan, you have every right to be infuriated. Now, granted, I don't expect that there are more than a couple of Pacers fans in the area. But if you're a Pacers fan, I would be thoroughly off right now because you tuned into this game expecting to see a breakdown of your team and your team in this game and your team versus the Knicks and your team versus the Knicks trying to punch a Game 7 ticket to the Eastern Conference Finals. You tried to get into all of this, and instead, the largest network in the game kept the camera trained on one loudmouth from the moment he rolled in as if he was one of the athletes to allowing him to give a pep talk to the team and the fans. Not a word about what this game meant for Indiana, what was on the line for Indiana, what Indiana's players should and should not expect, how Indiana's players should go out there and win the game. Nope. They just thought. See, I have for years, more in politics than in sports, I have years made the argument that there's no East Coast bias or metropolitan bias in the media. And then here comes the biggest outlet in sports. And what do but a damn hour-long Knicks pregame show? That's what they decided to run with. They bring their loudmouth Knicks fan in like he's an athlete doing a fit check, and then they allow him to do nothing but hype up and gas the Knicks and New York City fans as if I'm watching the MSG Network's New York Knicks pregame show. And it's kind of infuriating, to be honest, because I just want the basketball. I really do just want the basketball. I really just want basketball people to talk about the basketball. Like, it was like the Pacers weren't even there. It's like we were about to watch a Knicks v. Knicks pregame scrimmage, hyped by that one guy. And I'd like to congratulate me because I didn't even insinuate who it was. Did I? I did a little. But I'm not going to say his name.
Still over here trying to figure it out. I don't know.
Well, if you saw him screaming into the microphone before that game, you probably got a clue. Hey, let's take a break. When we come back, John Blau of the Post-Courier is going to join us to talk Clemson baseball. A sweep of the BC Eagles this weekend setting up for ACC tournament play. We will break that down next with John Blau on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
New life.
Be right back, guys. Live read, and then we'll get John, and then we're coming back. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob and Lonzo with you on a lovely Upstate Monday morning. It was a lovely weekend if you are a Clemson Tiger baseball fan after they pull off the 3-game sweep of the Boston College Eagles to conclude the regular season on a 3-game win streak. To talk about that and the upcoming Atlantic Coast Conference baseball tournament from the Post and Courier, Mr. John Black joins us here on the show. John, happy Monday, big dog. Glad you got a little, well, I'm assuming you got a little time off yesterday to relax and get prepped for a baseball tournament that starts on Thursday.
Yeah, I did. I don't even know what I did yesterday. I think I just lounged around and didn't think about anything.
Dude, if those aren't the best days, the days that you wake up and go, I wasted a day and it was glorious, John. And for you covering this athletic program, especially with baseball pretty much every weekend for the past 3 months, congratulations, bud. I'm happy for you.
I appreciate it.
Let's talk a little bit about that series. A 3-gamer that started back on Friday with an 11-6 win. Then you had a 12-10 win on Thursday. Then we had the Friday game 11-6 and a 10-0 win to conclude the series on Saturday. And obviously, after being swept by Wake Forest in the series before that, John, in the world of sports, I've used the term plenty of times, a get-right game or a get-right series. The thing is, you got to take advantage of it, and Clemson did.
Yeah, I mean, that Thursday game against Boston College looked pretty bad, though, to start. They got behind early, but then, again, stormed back like they usually do, win 12-10. And yeah, the next 2 wins were pretty dominant. Obviously, to finish it off with a run roll, 10-0 win, that's a pretty big deal for Clemson. Obviously, pitching-wise, that's been the real concern. Aiden Canuck to pitch the way he did in the final game really looked like Aiden Canuck again had 11 strikeouts in 6 innings. So that was really encouraging. And again, just to score 33 runs, 36 hits in 3 games, you can definitely call that a get-right series. And now they go in the ACC tournament trying to build some momentum to go into the NCAA tournament.
Canuck moves to 5-1 in that game, went 6 innings, 8 hits, no earned runs, no walks, and 11 strikeouts. And it feels, John, to me like this is what you need. I mean, you've got an ACC tournament upcoming where Clemson's going to be in a pool with Louisville and Miami. It's a good group of middle of the pack teams that you've got to get through. And obviously in baseball, things can get weird. So how big is it? How big was it for Canuck to come in, get his 6? Lucas came in, went 2 innings, surrendered I think 0 hits in the 2 cleanup innings before the run rule. How big was it to see the pitching kind of get back on track with the conference championship coming up in just a few days?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So that was the concern, I think, coming into this weekend. Obviously, bullpen has been a huge concern in terms of blowing some leads, but starting pitching-wise, Tristan Smith hasn't quite been right since he came back from the ankle injury. Aiden Canuck obviously missed a week with fatigue. He had 6 walks at Wake Forest in his appearance at Wake Forest, even though I think heard the zone maybe was a little off there. But he absolutely, Canuck had his command back, his change-up, his off-speed pitches, as nasty as ever. I mean, he had 8 strikeouts through the first 3 innings, so only one of the outs was not a strikeout. So you feel a lot better, at least having one guy, Canuck, and then hoping Tristan Smith can kind of still come along. The one thing they've been able to do with Tristan thus far is kind of pair him and Billy Barlow together so that Tristan isn't really getting long into games. They can just take another starter and kind of double together there. So you feel like you have enough now that you cobble together a good pitching staff. You have at least one guy like a Canuck that can go against the best of another team, and you feel like you're in a game. Obviously, I think a couple weeks ago you probably couldn't say that for sure, but I think you can now, and that's obviously a really big deal.
I'm looking through the 3 games, 8 runners left on base in one situation, 11-1 and 10-1. Has leaving runners on base, has stranding guys been a problem for Clemson this season that could come back to haunt them the deeper we get into the postseason?
That's an interesting question. I think, honestly, Clemson just does a pretty good job, obviously, getting traffic on bases. I think, actually, Coach Bax has been asked about this a couple times, and those are eye-popping numbers, and it kind of shows you have the potential to score more runs, but obviously you need to get guys on base to score runs. And so, obviously, again, they scored 33 runs in 3 games. I think that's pretty good. They're getting more than enough across right now. But I think pitching was more of the concern. And if you're getting guys on and getting enough across, I think you can win games. And can they get more across? Absolutely. And obviously, in clutch situations, you're going to need to be able to do that. You want to see less guys kind of stranded. But as long as you're scoring runs, as long as you're scoring double digits, which they did every game against Boston College, I think you're all right now.
Yeah, I mean, I almost kind of hesitated to ask that question because it's like, hey, you left 10 on base, but you put 12 across. You left 8 on base, but you put 11 across. It almost feels like a silly question to ask, but when you combine that with the fact that the pitching kind of took a little bit of a dip there before this series, and when you combine that with the thought that you've got an FSU team out there still, a Virginia team, a North Carolina team that is also capable of putting up double-digit runs, you kind of wonder if you might get to a point in the conference tournament where the number of stranded runners is kind of the key figure between a win and a loss.
Yeah, and I honestly think they got really lucky in terms of the pairings. I mean, they could have had Wake Forest in their pod, and to have a team like Wake, and again, Wake was playing really hot, and they ended up getting swept by NC State. But to not have to play them early on, you don't have to face a Chase Burns who struck you out 16 times the last time you saw him. You have a chance to play a couple teams that you beat on the road 2 out of 3 in Miami and Louisville. And obviously it won't be easy. I mean, they did drop a game each of those teams. So it won't be easy, but to get through that, but you will, eventually play an NC State. You'll eventually play potentially a Wake Forest. Some of these teams that have played really well towards the stretch run of the season. Yeah, they obviously have not been leaving many runners on, I don't think, those teams, because they've been producing in clutch situations. So we'll see if Clemson in those situations when they get there, if they can do it, win those games.
When pool play in the ACC begins on Thursday, Clemson, obviously, as you mentioned, paired up with Louisville, paired up with Miami. They go in as the 2 seed, and in the ACC, maybe more than most of the other conferences, getting one of those seeds matters because the tiebreaker format for the ACC is the highest seed moves on. So Clemson in a real good spot in that even if everybody splits it up and you have a 3-way tie potentially, Clemson gets the advantage to move on. And I think this is why when Clemson had a couple of spots where they stumbled in the regular season, this would be the panic, but worked out well. Talk to me about the advantages that they hold over the 7 and the 11 seeds, Louisville and Miami, that you think might be the difference in them moving on to the semifinals.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you got that extra day of rest. I mean, I think that's really important. And again, Canuck is probably going to move up in the rotation, which Eric Backus said, and obviously not having to play until Thursday allows you to kind of jigger the pitching whichever way you want. And like you said, the advantage of you can split, and as long as the other team split as well, then you have a chance to move on. And so that's a great advantage. I know that Eric Backus doesn't really love pool play because he'd rather just be like a straight up tournament. Whoever wins and advances, and whoever loses and it's done. But he said he liked being in pool play if you're a number 2 seed for a lot of the reasons you said, and like I said, to have a bye and be able to have the edges there. So again, 2 teams that they beat on the road last time out. Now it's neutral site. And so, and again, to have had that get right series against Boston College, I think you come into the postseason with a little bit of momentum. So I think there's plenty of, things in Clemson's favor. Just going to have to execute and see if they can kind of make a run here.
John Blau covers the Clemson athletic department for the Post and Courier. He joins us every Monday at 8:40. And the next time that we talk to John, we'll know exactly where the Tigers ended up in the ACC tournament. John, my man, appreciate it as always, big dog. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Rob.
You got it. John Blau from the Post and Courier. You can follow him on Twitter at John_Blau, BLAU. We appreciate him coming on and talking Clemson ball with us. And again, the ACC tournament is set up. Clemson with the number 2 overall seed. They are placed in Pool B. There are 4 pools of 3 teams apiece. North Carolina gets the number 1 overall seed. They are paired up with the 8 seed Wake Forest and the 12 seed Pitt. Pool B, Clemson, the 2 seed, is the top seed in that pool. Louisville, the 7 seed, in Miami, the 11 seed in Pool C. NC State goes in as the 3 seed. They are paired with number 6 Duke and number 10 Virginia Tech. And in Pool D, the 4 seed Virginia gets number 5 seed Florida State and the 9 seed Georgia Tech. In the pool play, every team will play every team round robin style. So each team will end up playing 2 games. The winner of the pool will move on. If there is a tie, whether it is 2 teams or 3 teams, the highest seed will move on. This is why we've talked about, like, we got asked throughout the course of the year, as I was talking about, especially those couple of spots where Clemson kind of tripped and fell a little bit in pool play. I was never really super concerned they were going to fall. And you just need to be one of the 4 seeds, right? One of the top 4, 1, 2, 3, or 4. But there was a point there where you're like, okay, you know, if Virginia, if NC State, if Florida State go on a run and Clemson was to dip down to the 5 seed, that it could become a problem. Because, for instance, in Pool D, you got 4, 5, and 9. If Florida State was to end up in a tie with Georgia and Virginia was to drop a couple, Florida State gets to move on over Georgia just simply because of the seeding. But if Virginia, Florida State, and Georgia Tech all end up at 1-1, right? Virginia beats Florida State beats Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech beats Virginia, let's say. Virginia just gets to move on. It's not anything deeper than that. So throughout the course of the season, when we talked about this, and folks are like, Rob, why are you panicking? You're kind of overblowing this. No, I'm not. This is exactly why. Clemson in the 2 seed, they can go 1-1. Theoretically, they could go 1-1 and still win this pool as long as they get some help elsewhere. But they're better than Louisville. They're better than Miami. This is just going to be a matter of, can Clemson handle the pressure? And if the answer is yes, they're going to be just fine. They really are. Clemson, Louisville, and Miami. We will obviously follow these games as we get to the ACC tournament at the end of the year. Coming up in the next show, I want to talk a little bit about Xander and his win at the PGA Championship this weekend. We'll get a little bit more football in here and more. All of that coming up after I let you know that Star Wars The Phantom Menace came out 25 years ago. So I'm going to go put some Ben Gay on my knee and make sure that I don't need dentures yet. While I do that, Lonzo, with all the youth and vigor he brings to the table, is going to read you a sports flash.
Get you some denture cream, too. It smells just like Bengay, I'm told. He set the record for the lowest round in the PGA Championship with a 62 on Thursday, and on Sunday, Xander Schauffele took home the tournament's trophy. Schauffele outdueled Live Tour captain Bryson DeChambeau in the final round, recording a birdie on the final hole to win by a stroke, the first time that's happened since Phil Mickelson in 2005. Schauffele scored a 72-hole total of 263, the lowest ever in a PGA Tour major. There's a new undisputed world champion of heavyweight boxing after Ukrainian Alexander Usyk floored the UK's Tyson Fury to claim the crown in a split decision. Scorecards went 114-113, 115-112, and 113-114 in favor of Usyk. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 for a brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news, and it's all Wire to Wire. Jam cam. Oh no, it's an unmitigated parking lot. Just go a different way.
This is the worst time of the year to be dealing with that joint pain. I mean, you can't go out and do all the things you love. Tennis, golf, pickleball, hiking. Everybody's Charlie James.
Thanks, Steven. Always good to have a hookup, especially in the dentures game. We know how expensive that is, or I can imagine how expensive that is. One thing I've never understood about dentures is when people replace their teeth with teeth that don't look like the teeth they had before. I get if you want them straighter. But if you are a person with big front teeth and then you get dentures that don't have them, it makes it obvious, doesn't it? I guess in the end, you're not trying to fool anyone. You're just trying to eat, I suppose. Get veneers like most wrestlers have. All right, not most wrestlers. A lot of wrestlers have them.
If you're facing $10, $20, even $30,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt, stop struggling to stay afloat and call Accredited Debt Relief today for faster relief. Depending on your financial situation, you may qualify for a 40% or higher reduction in your monthly payments and only have to make one consolidated monthly payment you can afford. Accredited
Steven's got the hookup for us if we want dentures, by the way. We used to make them. My question was, why do people, when they get dentures, not make them look like the teeth that they had before? Because then it's obvious. Suddenly, I mean, if you got really big front teeth, then
Those
suddenly,
Gary Busey's.
then suddenly you don't. I mean,
I get to go get a filling tomorrow because at almost 40 years old, I just had my first cavity.
I was joking about that, Steven. Wow. I guess that's not surprising.
And if all goes well, the roar you will hear. So here's to another run on God's grandest stage as we hope that Tiger can turn back the page.
Wow. We're on the tippy top of the leaderboard. You know, we should have a leaderboard. I like it. We should have a leaderboard of calls. Bobby, you are officially number one on the leaderboard right now.
Lead on afternoons 3 to 7 on the Fan Upstate. When it comes to the best sports talk,
I'm very excited because somebody on Twitter just wrote a like 42 thread post on the evolution of the use of concrete by human beings. And I don't want anything in the world to do but read
So not
that.
the word, but the actual concrete.
Like the substance concrete.
Okay, yes.
From the concrete that was used by the Romans that to this day we can't replicate it, which is the concrete that's held up on the Roman roads for so long, to the concrete used today and how BS it is compared to that.
Because the Roman concrete was brought to us by aliens.
That must be it. Got to be it.
Yeah!
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 I wasn't ready, but I am ready for the last hour of the show now. Now we're ready. Now I'm feeling good. Now I'm juiced. Now I'm gassed.
Are you sure? Keegan on the stream earlier asked why we don't have a video of us walking in the morning. It would be two totally different things. Trust me, because I'm the annoying awake guy.
I'm not.
Yes, he's the one annoyed.
I come
by
alive.
the annoying awake guy.
I come alive at 5:59 and 48 seconds every morning. I look up. We have that last legal ID that bounces right before the title song hits.
You mean right when you just get in the room?
No, I set up the stream. I'm in at like 5:56, and then I got like 4 minutes of like, come on, dude, get it together, get it together.
That's him talking to himself. I'm not doing that.
And then I push the go live button on the stream over here, and as soon as it turns red, showtime. It's like coming out of Gorilla, man. Doesn't matter how bad your day is. When the walkout music hits, it's time to go put on a show.
Getting here is not a problem. Going home, I get sleepy. I don't know why. Getting here, I'm wide awake. Maybe it's everybody else on the road who decides to like drive in the middle and Pac-Man the white lines and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, that guy's hauling 2 trailers. Should I go past him or just hang back?
Always hang back.
No, I go past, because if that thing jackknifes,
getting Final Destination.
Right. So I'm going to take a chance of speeding past, and then,
I am going to say I don't understand morning people. Despite being up at 3:45 in the morning, I do not understand morning people at all. I don't get it. How do you? Just how do you? I don't get it.
I don't know. You've seen it. It's probably weird because I'm probably more awake in the morning than I was on any other time slot we've been in.
Fair enough. So got a lot more to get into in this hour of the show. By the way, South Carolina also got their SEC baseball tournament bracket assignment. We now know that they will be locked into, and this is very interesting, a pod with Alabama. In fact, they will square up with Alabama in the opening round of the SEC tournament. The ACC uses pool play. 4 pods, 3 teams. Best record moves on, or highest seed moves on in case of a tie. The SEC, they throw it back old school. They go with a tournament. You win, you move on. You lose, you bounce. We do have our opening day assignments. The buys in the SEC belong to the number 1 overall seed, Tennessee. Tennessee, of course, swept the Yardcocks this weekend over in Knoxville. Took all 3 away from South Carolina. So South Carolina was in a tie with, I believe, 4 other teams for the 7 seed. And then it goes by records against those teams. So South Carolina drops down to the 10 seed in this tournament. The buys went to number 1 seed Tennessee, number 2 seed Arkansas, number 3 seed Kentucky, and number 4 seed Texas A&M. The 5 seed is Mississippi State in the bottom half of bracket number 2. They will take on the 12 seed Ole Miss. That is a single elimination in the opening round. Vanderbilt will take on Florida in the first round. That's an 8-9 matchup in a single elimination game. Number 6, Georgia will take on number 11, LSU in the opening round single elimination game. And then South Carolina, as the 10 seed, will draw Alabama, the 7 seed, in the single elimination matchup. The losers of those games will be sent home. The losers of those games are done. The winners will move on to round number 2. Round number 2 begins our double elimination. There are 3 rounds of double elimination. You will get the winner of Georgia LSU. The loser goes home. The winner takes on Kentucky. The winner of Vanderbilt in Florida will get Tennessee. The winner of Mississippi State and Ole Miss will get Texas A&M. And the winner of Alabama, South Carolina has the honor, the privilege, the pleasure of taking on number 2 seeded Arkansas on Wednesday. By the way, the opening round of the SEC tournament is tomorrow. Alabama and South Carolina will find out their game time. It comes after we've got 2 times. You're going to have a 9:30 a.m. opening pitch between Georgia and LSU. You will have a 4:30 first pitch between Vandy and Florida. Alabama, South Carolina, and Mississippi State, Ole Miss will be slotted around them. Winner of Alabama, South Carolina moves on to take on Arkansas, and then from that point, we will have our double elimination format for the rest of the way through. We will see the losers of the 2 games on both sides take each other on. Loser, that's eliminated. Winner will then move on to take on the loser of the second round contest from up above them. Loser of that game is bounced. Loser moves on to play the winner. If the winner of that tournament gets the win, they move on. Obviously, if they don't, we will play second in a single elimination game if necessary on Saturday. And then the SEC championship tournament will be at 2 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. I have said to y'all, and I mean this, college baseball has the best postseason in sports, and it starts tomorrow. College baseball has the best postseason in sport. It starts with the conference tournaments, and these things matter. We have still got seedings on the line. We have still got regional host and super regionals set to be determined. You can get yourself an opportunity here, should you wish, to do something special, to bump your seeding up if you want to. Why are we being stared at by the logo of the St. Louis Cardinals right now?
There are two Cardinals. One's a guy, one's a girl. You can tell by the color. And I think they're about to possibly fornicate on the windowsill.
They're just staring in the studio, which means Lonzo said something to upset the government because the drones are here.
You know about me and birds. If those things were real, oh, it's looking at you. Look,
Dude, this thing is staring into my soul right now. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I've heard you know how there's the old thing about how cardinals are the spirits of those that have moved on. That's a demon. That's a demon right there. That's what that is. That thing is staring into my soul looking through the window.
That's not a demon. That's a guy about ready to make his move. I mean, come on.
I feel like a real weird version of David Attenborough right now.
It's very, very voyeuristic, but you can't turn away. It's just, you can't help it. It's right there.
It might be a little bright on the stream, but right there in the corner.
No, I don't think you can see it.
Right.
I could be wrong.
There. I don't know. There's two birds that are very clearly
looking at Rob. Yeah.
Or not now. Now they're looking deep and longingly into each other's eyes. I'm going to tell you, if my man makes his move, I'm throwing something at the window.
Dude, he is getting ready to.
He is now just flown to the, let's say, the other side of the lady bird, who is now facing away from him. And I feel like we're watching bird porn that we're not supposed to be watching. I shouldn't be uncomfortable, but I'm uncomfortable. I'm a big nature guy, but I know all about the birds and the bees, and apparently the emphasis on the birds in this case.
Oh, they're gone now.
No, they're not. He's right there.
Oh, never mind. He comes to look at me
again. I'm wildly uncomfortable right now. I'm not going to lie. I don't know why. That she's still right here, directly looking through. This is not like I see my reflection. No.
I know this is
I'm being monitored right now.
Great radio, but
Go away! You're freaking me out, man. All right, I got to turn around.
Joe says this is now Lonzo's ornithology segment.
Would you like to break down what we're seeing outside the window, ornithologist?
Yeah, until things go a certain way, then I ain't touching that.
Oh, now homeboy's back.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
Did he bring her something?
No. Oh, yeah, he brought her something.
Observe the male as he begins his approach. Will he be rejected? Will he be successful? I hope the first one.
He keeps looking in. You guys getting this, right? You getting this?
Put this on OnlyFans, man. People pay for this kind of content. It's like $9.99 a minute in the bird world.
Is that how much it costs?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Right.
I think it's bird to bird, if you get my drift.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I don't I need you. Sincerely, I need y'all to go away. You're making it weird.
I mean, you could do a show, and I'll just watch. I'll keep you apprised of the situation. You're actually having to turn away. He can't not look.
Steven said, this is the most action the Cardinals have had since they drafted Kyler Murray. Well, unlike Kyler Murray, that Cardinal's going to score. Bam! We did it. Good job, everybody.
It was a long way to get there, but you got there. Way to go.
Text said, do bird watchers get off watching that kind of stuff? I'm going to tell you right now, I got a bird feeder that's right outside my front window, and it is a source of immense entertainment for me because I'm 110.
That's not what they're talking about.
I know.
Okay.
The other day, we had a tufted titmouse on our bird feeder.
Oh, wow.
It's a hard find. All right. Right there. Bang. We were right there.
And you knew that without looking it up in your little book?
Nope. Not only did I look it up in my little book, but I actually have an app on my phone where you can point the camera at the bird and the AI will identify the bird for you immediately, along with a full description of the bird and its habits.
You counted
it
and was able to check it off, right?
I did.
Okay.
I did. We got our little book. We got a little bird watching in the Southeast book, and we went and found the tufted titmouse and went ahead and scratched it off. All right. I have been turned into a bird person, and I'm not ashamed of it.
Okay, so who got you into this?
Give you a guess.
That goes against character a little bit. I think that's a little. I don't know.
For her or me?
For both, because you guys lead fast-paced lives.
This is very true.
And this is
but that's the nice
slowed
thing, right?
down.
Yeah, like I'm up at 3:30 in the morning. I'm go until I'm not, and then when it's time to not go no mo, and I know I've got sports tonight. Sometimes it's nice to just take a relax time, take a little breather, take a little break, and bird watch for a few minutes.
And maybe it's eye in the gator skull over there.
No, it's trying to get at me. It keeps flying up. It can't get through. There it goes, straight up and down, directly at me. And it is.
Hey, maybe when you leave, it will accomplish its goal.
Dude, if I walk out of this building and get dive bombed by a horny cardinal, I'm going to be mad. All right? Going to be ticked. It's still okay. We gotta stop. This is the worst segment I've ever done.
You're the one who's doing it. I mean, you should I lower the blinds? I mean, I can lower the blinds.
No, because now I'm genuinely curious as to what comes next.
You're rooting for your guy, is what you're doing. I think it flew away now. You're good.
That was unsettling to say. I don't know how to take. Like, I know it's dumb, and you're all like, "Shut up, Rob. Talk to." I know I should be sticking to sports. Absolutely, I don't have any doubt about it. But I cannot tell you how unnerving it was, because we were about to get one of two things. We were about to get some bird love, or that bird was going to, like, its eyes were going to glow red. It was going to laser open the window.
Or we almost had a NASCAR fight and we could have watched it. It just, I've been in this building since just about the beginning. So quite a lot, decades. And I don't recall seeing two birds doing that before in the windowsill. I'm talking about looking at us. They weren't doing anything. They were just looking at us.
This is growing up almost every year. We had a cardinal that would attack its reflection in one of our windows all summer. Yeah, like we've got a bird house in the front yard that the Cardinals have made use of this year, and they come to the bird feeder all day. They haven't flown into the window. This dude, so that we're clear, was not attacking himself or herself, because there were two in the window. It sat on the windowsill of the window that looks out to the parking lot, and it stared at me like I owed it either A, money, or B, my soul. One or the other.
Now I hear the song Wildfire, and you would have to really go back to, it's been a hoot owl by my window now.
That was weird. 8
nights in a row. She's coming for me. I know.
It was weird, and I'm glad they're gone. All right. I like bird watching. That was too intense. All right. We got to get to, in other words, Cardinals just released their city connection. Yeah, they did. And I'm very iffy on them. Like, I'm half and half, because they use the regular Cardinal logo, which is a baseball bat with a Cardinal sitting on both ends. But instead of St. Louis, or instead of Cardinals like they normally say, it says the Lou, which I'm good with, because I was a Nelly guy growing up. The St. Lunatics.
Wait, the Lou as in the bathroom?
No, L-O-U as in St. Lou.
Okay, because I forget.
No, that's L-L-O.
Oh, are you sure? I've
Yes.
never seen it spelled before. I've just heard it talked about.
I've been to England. It's L-O-O. This is the L-O-U, the Lou, which again.
Should I text our correspondent and have him come down and let us know how you actually spell the Lou?
You don't need to. I just told you.
Okay. Well, I mean,
I don't know why I have that memorized, but I do. Listen, the point here is, I don't hate the City Connects.
Yeah, see, Joe says if you're English, these jerseys are hilarious. That's because when you said it, that's the first thing I thought of. And that pretty much describes the team. Feels so bad for Marvin Harrison Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, please get on your feet and welcome the starting lineup for the which is, if they spelled it with two O's. The St. Louis Cardinals, the St. Louis Cardinals, the baseball Cardinals, not Kyler's Cardinals, because they should actually be called the Lou.
If I said this segment was for the birds, would that be a dad joke?
Yes, it would.
Okay. So
and a pretty good one.
I'm not going to do that.
And a pretty good one. I don't hate them. I also like the Braves City Connects. I like the White Sox City Connects a lot. I actually kind of dig the Phillies. I hate to say that because I don't ever want to say anything nice about the Phillies, but I like their City Connects. I'm a big fan of, let's put some color in the jerseys, have a little fun. I like the City Connects. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been your ornithological ornithological adventure segment. Rob and Lonzo did their best worst David Attenborough impression. When we come back, sports probably. We'll see. Maybe. It's the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate.
I don't know. Bird watching is just as much of a sport as golf is, right? I'm not, because I got to go to the restroom too. So, I mean, you can yell at me when I get back. All right, so someone was talking about alcohol and said it's not too peaty. What the heck does that mean? I don't know what that means. I'm waiting for Rob to come back in and explain that to me because I couldn't stay in the hallway because I had to make sure someone's got to be in here. All right, what does that mean? It's not too peaty. What does I mean?
Scotch is made with peat moss as part of its
processing
process.
Okay, all right.
And peat has a very distinct taste to it and smell.
Isn't that like fertilizer, peat moss?
It can be.
It's just a weird thing to say. It's not too peaty.
That taste is dirt. We were just talking about, I don't like Scotch. And it's really not, I don't like Scotch as much as I don't like that taste. It's the same reason I don't like gin. Because if I wanted to taste a pine tree, I'd just go lick a pine tree.
Okay. I'm guessing that would probably hurt. Because
it tastes like
it's not the smoothest bark.
It tastes like the bark of a pine tree.
Okay.
Gin's awful.
All right. Well, I'm never going to drink any of that stuff, so I'll just take your word for it. So, since I don't drink. Still amazing. You hear some weird things in that restroom.
Also true. It's a great place to talk about Scotch.
No, I would not, because I don't drink. But thank you. You know those silly drunks that are just goofy and so much fun to be around? That's me when I let my real personality come out. So I don't need a drink.
Okay. Have any of you heard of a movie called WrestleManiac?
No.
Apparently, it is a horror slasher movie with the bad guy portrayed by Rey Mysterio.
All right, because last time you got me to watch a wrestling movie, it was like the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
Wrestlers versus Zombies.
It was so bad.
That is so
I
good.
mean, it was no, and you never watched it. So I'm not listening to you.
Rey Mysterio is a slasher villain. You got no interest in just seeing what he comes across as a slasher villain.
I saw it in Leprechaun.
Brought this up earlier in the show. Going to bring it up again because I want to. The last time that the Atlanta Braves has had as bad of a half a month of baseball as they have had in this last half of a month, you have to go back to 2016. Now, in 2016, the Braves were, and this is true, bad. They were bad. They lost 93 games that year. Bad. They lost 93 games. They were last place in the National League. They were actually tied for the worst record in the National League. Now, fortunately, some things have developed since then. They have won a world title since then. Alex Anthopoulos has repeatedly made moves around the trade deadline that have made him, as far as I am concerned, general manager of the century. But I'm at the point where, despite the fact that he has a championship ring, I am at the point where I think the Braves might have to move on past Brian Snitker. I think you may have to pull the trigger in a mid-season switch for a new manager. Why? Last couple of years, Ron Washington was an assistant coach for this team. Ron Washington, who is now the head coach, I swear to you, I still have no idea why he decided that this. I get he wanted to head coach again, and I'm not going to fault him for that because he still got that spark. He still got that fire. And if anybody knows about wanting to stay in an industry that has beat the hell out of them and prove that they can do it, it's me. I get it. I understand. But Ron Washington wanted that job and got that job because of that fire that he brings to the table and because of the fact that players love this guy. Everywhere he's been, players love this guy. Texas, Atlanta, LA, players love this guy. To the point that, like, he's the exception to the rule. I've talked in the past about how there comes a point for every coach where they reach a spot where I don't think they can't connect with professional athletes anymore because it's a different generation. They speak a different language, both metaphorically and literally. For instance, what's Riz mean? Anybody got anything? Right. That's exactly the point.
It's what you eat when you go to a Riz joint. I like some of them Riz, please.
That is not it at all. I like the guess. Not it. Riz is short for charisma. It's when you're a very charismatic person. Ordinarily used when you are capable of hitting on and pulling women, or going in and making some power moves that get people to do it. You got Riz. Point is, at 72 years old, Ron Washington should be in that spot where he can't communicate with the next generation of baseball players. Except for he does, and he has, and he consistently is. He was doing it in Atlanta, and I'm kind of to the point now where I'm almost wondering if the linchpin that held the Bravos together wasn't Snit, it was Ron Washington. I'm almost wondering if the right move, and obviously you cannot have made this move during the time that you would have had to make this move. But I'm almost curious if the right would have been moving on from Snit and elevating Ron Washington into the manager's role. And I bring that up. Because after last night, a game in which the Braves lost again, this time to the Padres, a game in which they got dropped 9-1. This comes after they scored one run in the two previous games before that. Some folks started doing the deep dives into the numbers because the performance of this team is just not where it's at. This is not a slump. And I've heard for the past 3 or 4 weeks now, the Braves fans trying to pass this off as it's a slump. Hell, I did it on Saturday. Our Padawan producer, Mario, on Bet for the Cycle, which airs every Saturday from noon to 4 on the BetQL network. Mario said, in a game we call Overreaction or Makes Sense, Mario said, overreaction or makes sense, drop a bet on the Phillies to win the NL East. Because despite the fact that they now hold a full 5-game lead over the Braves in the division, they are still plus money to win the division. The Braves are still minus money to win the division. He said overreaction or makes sense to drop dimes on Philly winning that division today. And I said, it's an overreaction. Let's hold tight. And let's hold tight because the Braves, on paper, still have as much, if not more talent than anybody else in Major League Baseball. The only team that might be the exception, again on paper, are the LA Dodgers, obviously, with the addition of Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman, 2 of the top 3 vote getters for National League Most Valuable Player last year. But as far as returning All-Stars go, the Braves have more than everybody else. They should be at the top of the division. They are not only not at the top of the NL, they're not at the top of their own division. And that's real bad. So then I started looking around, and on Reddit, there was a deep dive of folks who started to try to go find some numbers that they could look at to say, all right, what is the problem? What is this team? What do we do here? And while the optimism is still there, like the cat that said, quote, I'd rather suck now than suck in October. Let's get all the suck out while Philly is using all their mojo early. I mean, sure, I get it. And there were other guys going, hey, you got to call the Bryce Elder era, right? Like he had a couple of good runs in him last year, but he's just not got MLB stuff anymore. And after yesterday's performance, I actually don't have an issue subscribing to that. I think it may very well be time to just acknowledge that you got the best out of Bryce Elder, and it's probably time to move on. But one guy went in deep dove the numbers, and he brought this up, and I found it interesting. This is the worst 18-game stretch of run production out of the Atlanta Braves since 2016. You got to go back to 2016 to find any 18 games out of any part of the schedule where the Braves scored fewer runs than they have over the last 18 games. You go back to 2016, that team lost 93 games. This team's not going to lose 93 games. This team is good enough that if they play an average game, if they're just average, they're going to beat 22 out of 30 teams more often than they don't. So I'm not worried about this team losing. Hell, I'm not really worried about this team losing 80 games. I am interested in seeing how this team bounces back from this. I'm interested in seeing if this team finds something. But there's other numbers that make me very concerned about that being a possibility. In the Braves lineup right now, there are 4 qualified position player hitters. Now, one of them is Travis d'Arnaud. Travis d'Arnaud, when he got moved into the starting spot after Sean Murphy got injured, Murphy's on his way back. Should be back in the next week or two. But when Travis d'Arnaud got moved into the spot, he came out, he hit like a gazillion home runs in 3 or 4 or 5 games, and then he disappeared. Right now, Travis d'Arnaud has a batting average under 200. Ozzie Albies. Out of the gate, Ozzie Albies was one of the more consistent hitters out of the gate for the Atlanta Braves. In a spot where Matt Olson was struggling to see the ball, Ozzie Albies was taking it over the fence a couple of times. Ozzie Albies, as of today, has a batting average under 200. Orlando Arcia. Orlando Arcia is a guy that earlier in the year was doing some stuff, was on base creating traffic more often than he was not. Orlando Arcia is struggling with the average right now. I think he's at like 245. It's okay at best. At the start of May, and by the way, all of these numbers, these under 200s, are players as they came into May. I think Arcia's got his back to like 245 now. Michael Harris Jr. This is a guy I really liked coming into this year. Michael Harris Jr. entered May with a batting average under 200. He's got it back up to 250. But again, it's 250. Like, it's fine. It's not good. And everybody else around them is kind of off of that. There are issues with this team. When the entire team entered the month of May with 4 qualified players having averages of 200. And by the way, your left fielders entering May, the combination of Jared Kelenic and Adam Duvall entering May, both had averages under 200. That's over half your lineup. Over half your lineup went into May with a batting average sub 200. Some of them have bumped it up, some of them haven't. But the point here is, where's the leadership on this club? Where's the leadership? Who's going to step up? And at some point, if nobody does, I put that at Snit's feet. And I hate to say it, because again, thanks for the ride, but I'm starting to think maybe it wasn't Snicker that managed the Braves to a trophy. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We got a few more things I want to run through before we get to the end of the show. It's the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Just want you to know that was not me. Why people should not be doing things in the middle of live shows. But, you know. Yeah, I'm now nervous. I'm checking out the trailer right now, Joe, without sound. I want to see where the stabs actually happen. All right, I've seen a fat guy in a luchador mask, but I haven't seen Ray yet. Maybe as many luchadors. Many as in more than one, not as in...
Nope, I'm
not as in a...
many luchadors.
Oh, there he was. The legend is real. Gonna have to watch that trailer after the show for sure.
Yes, that is an excellent use of the word mid, Wesley. It is approved. Well done.
Too late to apologize. It's too late.
34 minutes ago. I hope this isn't trending, but if it is, don't care. Hugh Jackman tweeted, 1 ticket for Deadpool and Wolverine, please. Just one. He just straight up
couldn't wait 15 minutes.
Just one.
Could not
ticket,
wait.
please.
If you've waited 15 minutes, could not wait 15 minutes. It's just, I mean,
It
you
was
know.
too exciting. I loved it too much.
Okay, fine.
Loved it too much.
Whatever.
Yeah. James said Philly might be for real this time. I'm kind of thinking they are. I'm trying to balance where they sit with the best record in the National League, but also the easiest schedule in the National League. Does that middle out? Does that bring, when Philly actually has to start playing good baseball teams, does that kind of start to roll them backwards a little bit? We'll find out. All right. Couple of things that we talked. This list got sent to me yesterday. No, 2 days ago. And I found it very intriguing. It was a post on Instagram from Sports Center. They put up a post on Instagram entitled, Things CMC's Dad Did to Prepare Him to be an NFL Superstar Starting in Middle School. I don't know. Some of you may have seen this. Apparently, this post was posted.
Did he massage his hamstrings with evaporated milk?
Hang on there, because you think you're being weird.
That's from the Little Giants.
Oh.
So, I mean, you know.
CMC.
That's what his dad did to Spike.
Becky the Icebox. Spike. I almost called CMC Spike. CMC, that's what I'm going to call him now, was on the Bussin' with the Boys podcast not terribly long ago. And he told the Bussin' the Boys fellas some of the things that his old man did to prepare him to be Christian McCaffrey. Here are some of the things that he did. Number 1, took him out of school on game days, midday, to go get a saline IV so he wouldn't cramp during the game. Yeah, I mean, it's over the top, but okay. All right. It's not awful.
Wait. No, that's not normal at all, Rob.
I mean, it's way over the top.
Over the top. That's weird.
Oh, well, if that one sets you off, let's keep going. Number 2, told him not to squint if it was sunny because it wasted energy. You open your eyes and you look into the sun like a damn man, boy. Told him not to squint because squinting requires energy. You don't have energy to waste, not if you want to be Christian McCaffrey.
Still sounds like Spike's dad. Everything you're saying sounds just like that character.
Had him wear sweatpants instead of jeans to school because jeans would be too heavy on the legs. It would bog him down, slow him down, take more energy out of him. So sweatpants only for CMC on school days. Now that's what I'm going to start telling the boss as to why I wear pajama pants to work.
Yeah, like no one else does. I mean, come on.
How about this one? He would ground him for getting jersey tackled starting at the age of 8. If somebody got a hand on the jersey and they brought him down, he got grounded for it.
Or also just an excuse to make him work more, probably.
Told him not to yell at pep rallies so that he wouldn't lose his voice. And that way he could direct players during games.
That's the most sensible thing so far.
This is the only, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. didn't allow him to drink sodas at all, and bedtime was 7:30 p.m., no questions asked.
All right, not drinking pop, I get that. Going to bed early. Did you have any bedtimes when you were younger?
When I was young.
I mean, how old was he when, I mean, obviously this started when he was young. We moved the bedtimes up as they got older, but 7:30, that's kind of,
7:30 is a little ridiculous, right?
I mean, 8 is okay, I guess. I know it's a half hour, but still, I mean, it depends on where you live too.
That's true. Christian McCaffrey said all of this. Oh, here's one. 27-year-old went on to explain that he would go to Home Depot to get double-sided tape for his shoulder pads because he didn't have Velcro and he wasn't allowed to tackle. So he made sure that his jersey was all Velcro down so that jersey tackles became tougher because he'd get grounded for that. I got nothing. On one hand, this made Christian McCaffrey, right?
I'm curious, did he do the same thing to Christian's brother? Or was it just him?
He said we a lot. So
did he?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he said we a lot. So first and foremost, like he's still real close with his dad, right? Like he's saying all this like it's a haha funny joke. Like ha ha ha. LOL. Cuz again, it turned him into Christian McCaffrey. And it's like, if I could turn my kid into Christian McCaffrey, I might be willing to be a little bit more of a disciplinarian, teach him a little football discipline. On the flip side, this is the behavior of an absolute psychopath, right? Like this is, for a middle school kid, this is a bit much, I think. Or am I just weak? Am I just one of those weak, undisciplined, you just don't get it, Rob kind of guys?
Sounds like a normal travel ball dad to me.
I coached Little League sports for a very long time when I was back in Florida. I need to pick it back up here. I really do. I want to get back into it. Anyway, coached middle school sports for a very long time when I was in Florida.
Man, those kids would be crying. You just be talking and they'll think you're yelling at them. Coach Rob yelled at me.
Listen, I'll yell at your kid. All right, your kid screws up and gets yelled at. That's sports. You have to learn how to fight through that and be better at the thing.
So I'm trying to think, would I want Rob as a coach of my children? Because he's not going to treat them like they're kids, which is a good thing, I guess, on the sport. I don't know.
You do this thing where you try to convince everybody that I hate kids, and I don't. To me, I have said 100 times, youth sports are for life lessons, not for sports. Like, it's nice if you go out there because you need to learn how to win with grace and lose with dignity and work as a team, but also make yourself better at the same time. Like, this is all.
You sound like participation trophy guy. Never mind. I don't want you. It's all about winning. Win. And don't squint.
So if I'm out there yelling at your kids to win, you don't want them on my team. But if I'm out there trying to make them better people and competitors, also you don't want them on my team. I feel like it's just me, Lonzo. I feel like you just don't trust me.
It's you.
Okay.
It's you.
I appreciate you admitting it.
Let's face it. If I have kids at my age, we got a problem.
That's also true. We need to have a talk. So, this is the behavior of a psychopath, right? Like, this is too much. Because when I coach Little League sports,
is it only? Are you a psychopath if it doesn't work? Are you a genius if it does?
I mean, so there's a theory going around right now, and this is very interesting to me. There's a theory going around right now that we're not creating athletes that excel on the world stage of different events like we used to. And the belief is that when kids are playing all of the sports, they don't really dial in on one sport until later in their career. And at that point, like the habit forming portion of their life is over. So they don't necessarily develop the habits that would lead to them ultimately becoming elite at their level. So there's this belief that, like, if you put a kid in football in middle school and then you just only have them play football, that kid's got a better chance of being great at football than the kid who played football, but he also played basketball and baseball and soccer and whatever else, right? So CMC kind of tested this theory here. Well, I guess CMC's dad kind of tested this theory and just made him a football-only kid who lived and ate and slept and breathed football. And, like, let me ask it this way. If there was, like, if your neighbor was like this with their kid, but their kid sucked at football, wouldn't you kind of, like, consider a call to child services maybe? Right? If they're like, hey, he's checking his kid out of school to give him saline injections, IVs. He's like, he makes his son stare into the sun so he doesn't waste energy squinting. His kid's always in sweatpants. He's grounded all the time, and apparently it's because he got tackled in a tackle football game. He's not allowed to yell. He's not allowed to have fun. And he's in bed at 7:30 as a high schooler. I feel like something's going on here. If CMC doesn't turn into CMC, this dad has an inmate number, right? Like this is, I don't know, man. I read through this. Diesel and I, matter of fact, we're talking about this. And I'm like, on one hand, this man's a total psychopath. On the other hand, he created the best running back in the NFL.
He didn't do anything illegal. There's nothing on there that's illegal.
It's not.
And maybe the saline thing is the most thing that possibly could be harmful. Everything else, I mean, don't squint. Okay. Wear sweats. Thanks, Dad. I mean, they're not restrictive. I can move around well. Going to bed early. I'm well rested for the next day.
Again, James said Ed McCaffrey won Super Bowls. You don't question his decision-making. Yeah, I don't question his decision-making as a football guy. As a raising kids guy, this kind of seems like a little much.
But you can also say that he knows what it takes to play in the NFL.
100%.
And so, and wouldn't you say that his kids are a little undersized?
I mean, his kids are definitely a little undersized.
Right. And he gave them an edge by doing the things he did and got them, I believe his other son got drafted too, didn't he? Or was it a unrestricted free agent? I can't remember.
I have to look it up. I don't remember either. I don't know, man. I feel like if this was drafted in the third round by Washington, I believe that if this guy turned out to be anybody but Christian McCaffrey, I feel like we would all have a problem. But because it generated Christian McCaffrey, the other fear I have is how many street level dads are gonna read this and be like, Johnny, give me your phone, go put on some sweatpants, ditch the sunglasses, and get your ass to bed while the sun's still up. I need an NFLer.
And now the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
All right, first of all, I mean, I'm sure they lived in a well-to-do kind of neighborhood and stuff because McCaffrey, if he handled his money well, was rich. So there's that. All right, the first thing that's Xing is Terry Crews.
Terry Crews, of which I am a big fan. I have no idea why he's trending, so I'm going to assume it's his birthday, and he's 51.
Nope, jumping into your favorite sport, boxing.
Terry Crews is?
It's going to be boxing Anderson Silva.
Terry Crews is. Boxing Anderson Silva.
Look it up.
No.
I don't know if it's going to be on the undercard.
No. Anderson Silva's fighting Chael Sonnen.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I
saw that too, but Terry Crews was trending, and that's what popped up.
No.
Maybe it wasn't Anderson Silva. Maybe it was a different Silva because there were a bunch of Silvas.
Movie star Terry Crews verbally agrees to fight UFC icon in boxing debut next week. It is. What are you doing? Terry. Listen,
doubted on local radio.
You understand that's an asinine thing for Terry Crews to do.
No, not really.
That's asinine.
No,
you're an actor, big dog.
All right, yeah. So he's going to act like he can box. And Silva, not a boxer, MMA guy. We've seen how they've fared. All right, the next thing that's Xing is Velma.
I miss when boxing was boxing. I really do.
You're old.
I miss when boxing was boxing. I am 100%.
Coming
Get
to
off
the
my damn
century.
lawn.
Coming to the century.
Get off my lawn. Somebody call my dad. What is it? Velma. I'm assuming it has to do with the SNL skit that aired on Saturday. So there was an SNL skit because Freddie Prinze Jr. was there who played Fred. No? Who was it?
It was Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay. Of course, star of the movie Roadhouse. Sure.
Which wasn't bad, and they're going to do a second one. But go ahead.
I don't have an issue. I haven't seen it yet. I don't have any issue with them doing it. I was just making a joke that
it was pretty
Patrick
derogatory.
Swayze.
No, I get it.
There was a skit in which he pretended to be Freddy from Scooby-Doo, and they just made this like ultra gory.
Yeah, I have to watch it with the sound
comedy
on.
Slasher version of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, don't give it away if you haven't watched it. Because you got to watch it yourself and be horrified when a thing that happens.
I saw it, and first off, I'm like, that's a great joke. That's a great joke. It's a great joke.
See, I haven't heard it yet. I just watched it this morning without the sound on, so I got to watch it with the sound on.
I have jacked up sense of humor. I absolutely thought it was hysterical, only because when I was a kid, I kept waiting so many times for that moment of the show to be like, they did that, and it was fantastic.
All right, the next thing that's Xing is Red Lobster.
So Red Lobster is declaring bankruptcy this week. And everybody's like,
today.
oh, they did it officially?
Yes.
And everybody's like, how? Why? The answer is because there are places you can buy fresh seafood, and you should. Red Lobster is, respectfully to Red Lobster, Red Lobster is good for one thing, cheddar biscuits. And oh, by the way, you can just buy those at the store.
Elitist,
okay?
I was born by the ocean. For those who were not,
there is a
Red Lobster is
there's a fresh seafood market 3 minutes from my house. I buy it from there all the time.
Is there in Ohio?
I don't care.
Well, I did growing up, and Red Lobster was as close to the ocean that I could get to.
You're saying there was not a seafood market?
You go trust this. You go trust the seafood market in Ohio
if it's fresh seafood.
Yeah. How fresh can it be?
I'm gonna tell you. Point is, Red Lobster does not touch real seafood.
Okay. Wow.
It is 100% my elitist take.
I feel bad for all the people who might be losing their jobs. So Rob doesn't care because it's not real seafood. God. You're heartless, man. Those birds didn't soften you. They were out there trying to make you a nicer person.
I want to congratulate you because the 3 hours of making me the bad guy today, excellent work. You did well. I'm very proud of you. It's good effort. Good effort.
Yeah, you had nothing to do with that. It was just
nothing.
It was just me. It was all me.
See, you're doing it right now. It's impressive. It's impressive. It's a talent level I aspire to have one day.
All right. Could you just end the show?
Y'all have a great day. See you tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Bye.
Your game ain't working. You may try. It ain't working.
Shameless plug for a friend, Broadwater Shrimp Company. Where, Shane? Where? Because shrimp is my favorite thing.
But that's my point, James.
Shrimp
it was fresh when they got
thing.
it, but it took them 3 days to get it to Ohio.
And
so it ain't fresh no more.
Probably still better than Red Lobster.
Wow. Such a hater. Next thing he's going after Joe's Crab Shack. And then Long John Silver's.
I didn't know Long John Silver still existed.
And then Captain D's.
I thought we had gotten rid of those places.
There's one right over that way.
A Long John Silver's.
Yeah, it's on 276. I think it still exists. 276. And there's one in Spartanburg. I'm sorry you want these places to go bye-bye, but
Oh, well, you can do whatever you want.
Oh, I believe that, Wesley. That's legit. You
Yeah, I dropped my tablet on the power button.
Yeah, you're the only one that can do that.
The power button's the size of a fingernail, and I drop my tablet
right. And you drop
on
your pen on it at least 3 to 4 times a week. So it's not,
At least I'm consistent.
You are. That's very true.
All right.
Not a bad guy, but, anyway.
They're in Stossner's. Their actual store is a food truck. That one is at Swamp Rabbit on Fridays and TR Farmers Market on Saturdays. I'm in. I'm in. I love shrimp.
A
It's my
food
favorite
truck
thing.
has a better shot at being fresh because, they could have actually drove from there.
Probably did.
Probably not. Went down to Costco and bought some shrimp. And this, I'm not saying that. Not being disparaging.
All right.
Gator sausage.
There is on Wade Hampton a butcher shop called the Black Sheep Butcher Shop.
Do they actually serve black sheep?
They do not.
Okay.
It is a local butcher, black-owned business. And number one, it is the only butcher shop I'm not saying there's not more in the area, but it's the only butcher shop I've been to in the area that has a window into the back and you can watch them butcher the animal. It's great. It's fantastic.
Well, how's that great?
Because you
hey,
can
look, you're killing the cow.
Well, not killing.
Bessie held on for a while there.
But you can watch them. You can watch them dress it up and cut your steak.
Okay, so you just talked about me for 3 hours making you the bad guy. So apparently there was an hour in there I didn't.
Yeah, first hour. We were great first hour.
Oh no. Anyway, I wasn't. But and now you're talking about watching them make the kill in the back.
No, I didn't say the kill. I said butcher the animal.
Okay.
Butchering is when you cut it up into its individual pieces and parts.
All right.
Bessie held on for a while. So I went in there the other day to get steak for.
See, I said that, and he's reading it like you said it, because he didn't hear me say it.
It's because I ignore him because I'm a terrible person.
It's horrible.
The worst.
You might as well be McCaffrey's dad.
I'm surprised Lonzo hasn't asked to trade me yet.
He is going to institute the rule where I'm not allowed to squint, though.
Yeah, no squinting.
That's
That's for the weak. Squinting's for the weak.
I'll remind you of that when you forget.
Anyway, the point of that whole story was that butcher stop had fresh gator, and I bought some on Friday.
Wait. So you saw him slaughter a gator?
No, this was gator they shipped in.
Oh, okay.
But you can watch them. You can ask for a cut of steak and watch them cut that steak for you.
Oh, okay.
Pretty great. I was a big fan. Big fan.
I worked in the
Watching your
grocery
steak
store.
get carved off the animal is just.
I don't remember the grocery store. I don't remember the IGA having the slabs of meat hanging back there. They might have though.
That's why you got to go to a butcher shop, not a grocery store.
Then you can tell the difference when you eat it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, of a freshly butchered piece of meat. Yes.
Thank you, Shane.
For sure.
Sociopath lessons. Yes.
I don't tell you, y'all all eat meat. I don't know what you think. That's not how you get a steak. You don't think every steak's not butchered?
And some days I like to go to the butcher shop and watch them cut the meat. But I'm fine.
I hope you never eat a steak then, because clearly.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to make up for that hour that I missed making you look like a bad guy. Stop yawning and just turn the stream off.
All right, y'all have a good day. Lonzo said to do it, and I have to listen to him. Goodbye. Where's the end credits? There they are. All right, I did it. See ya.